Part 37. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 365. Seeing that there was no danger, Su Junming activated the escape light and flew in. Although there are restrictions on this door, it can restrict the monks under the golden elixir, but it cannot restrict the golden elixir yuanying. Obviously, this Chongyang upper courtyard is a place for Jindan and yuanying realm monks to practice. As soon as he came in, Su Junming instantly felt that the spiritual energy was 10 times thicker, and of course the demonic energy was also thicker than below. Unless a monk like him can quickly refine demonic energy, the monks who come here can only rely on elixirs to maintain their magic power. It's no wonder that 4 waves of treasure hunters have already come in. There are still many places in the Chongyang upper courtyard that have not yet been explored. Without enough mana, no one dares to take a chance. However, Su Junming made so many preparations in advance, not just for the leftovers of the Chongyang upper court. Like lightning, he quickly arrived at the center of the cave. There is also a huge archway here. Although it is only 10 feet high, which is far less huge than the bluestone archway just now, the whole body is made of hard blue steel and jade. Green steel spirit jade is a high-grade spiritual material from the Great Cave, containing rich pure yang and earth element spiritual energy. In the past 4 years or so, Su Junming had refined a piece of green steel jade magic weapon for the people of the Xianjing division, but his piece of green steel jade was no bigger than the mouth of a bowl. But the piece in front of me is 10 feet long. While the size increases, it also means that more etched texts can be imprinted. Therefore, although many magic weapons have not advanced, their power exceeds that of many spiritual treasures. Su Junming's Yimeng Huang Liang is the most typical example. Chongyang Taoism is indeed a great sect of 10,000 years. After sighing for a moment, he moved the bronze mirror. The green steel and jade archway in front of him was like an onion being peeled off layer by layer, and everything inside was gradually exposed to Su Junming's eyes. This is a space about 100 miles in size. There are 5 high mountains in the space, with the middle sinking hundreds of feet, and there is a huge bluestone platform thousands of feet tall. At a glance, the mountains and bluestone platform look like a huge pentagonal altar. A large bronze cauldron, dozens of feet high, stands in the center of the platform. The thick body of the tripod is embossed with dragons, phoenixes, seals and patterns of gods and demons, making it appear mysterious and powerful. The heavy tripod lid is embossed with 5 heads: Qinglong, White Tiger, Suzaku, Suanwuo, and Kailan. The ferocious beast opened its mouth and bit into 5 thick chains. The chains extend thousands of feet and are connected to the treasures placed on the tops of 5 mountains. Connected to the chain in Qinglong's mouth is a green pine with a cloud-like crown, wrapped in the thick aura of armored wood. Connected to the chain in Beihu's mouth is a giant sword of 100 feet, the light golden Zhengjin spiritual energy penetrates the gold and cracks the stone. Connected to the chain in Suzaku's mouth is a large fiery red flag, the flames are billowing like clouds. Connected to the chain in Suanwu's mouth was a piece of blue jade ruyi, the sound of the mighty waves seemed to be in his ears. Connected to the chain in Kailan's mouth is a large earth yellow seal, the phantom of a 10,000 feet high mountain shrouds the large seal. The 5 treasures have strong aura, and the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth are extremely rich. There is no doubt that they are all spiritual treasures. Above these 5 spiritual treasures, a cloud floated, with a monk sitting cross-legged on each cloud. On the green pine is an old Taoist in green robe. On the giant sword of 100 feet is a scholar. The fiery red flag corresponds to a heroic middle-aged woman. Blue jade ruyi is a beautiful young woman wearing a blue dress. On the large khaki seal is a bearded man. The vitality of the 5 people was gone, their spirits dissipated, leaving only a physical body. With Su Junming's eyes, he could tell at a glance that the chains were formed by formations. Green pine, big flag, ruyi, giant sword and big seal respectively correspond to the 5 elements and are used as the holding force. As for the array diagram, it is the big cauldron. There is also a huge brass bell hanging above the cauldron. The space is rich in spiritual energy, with a 100-mile-long spiritual vein surrounding 5 high mountains. Provides aura to 5 treasures. There is no doubt that the big cauldron is the core. Su Junming's gaze penetrated the cauldron wall, and a tall figure appeared in a chaotic space. The green robe on this man's body was in tatters, and his exposed body was covered with dark golden fish scale patterns, giving off a sense of sturdiness. The thick corpse energy on his body is extremely powerful. Golden armored corpse. Su Junming was shocked. This is a monster that can be compared with Yuan Shen monks. But what frightened him even more was the irregularly shaped black jade that was the size of a walnut and was held in the hands of the golden armored corpse. Unparalleled demonic energy emanated from it. Just by looking at it, Su Junming felt the powerful power that confused his mind. This power was no worse than the innate Taishi Ice Chi in Fu Tianku's body that he had refined. What is this? The demonic energy is so powerful. Su Junming's expression changed as he recalled the classics he had read, but found nothing that matched them. After pondering for a moment, he reached out and waved. A thin middle-aged man wearing a black robe flew out of the cuffs. This person is the puppet he trained called True Lord Swanyan. He has the cultivation level of nascent soul's 5 transformations. Su Junming originally planned to use a puppet at the Golden Core stage, but he was afraid that the cultivation level was too low and would be killed before he could find out the clues inside. After some consideration, it was better to use a puppet with a stronger cultivation level. With a flick of his finger, 3 talismans fell into the hands of True Lord Swanyan. Go ahead. True Lord Swanyan nodded and activated the Hushan talisman given by Su Junming. The space behind the archway is gradually revealed. The thick spiritual energy mixed with the demonic energy leaked out first. Seeing that it could allow people to come in and out, True Lord Swanyan flew in. The perspective switches to True Lord Swanyan. As soon as I walked in, before I could see clearly, I heard the sound of a bell ringing. A power that shook the soul flew over, and a green talisman on Zhenjun Swanyan's body instantly shone. A tough cyan shield blocked the sound of the bell. This is the soul talisman practiced by Su Junming in order to prevent the invisible and unpredictable soul talismans from hurting people. I didn't expect to use it from the beginning. The bell sounded loudly, and the cyan protective shield quickly vibrated, and the vibration became more and more intense. With a pop sound, it shattered instantly. Just as he was about to activate the remaining Hushan talisman to escape, the mighty bells had already shattered the consciousness he had left in the puppet talisman. Su Junming in the outside world only felt a pain in his head, and his face instantly turned pale. However, the mirror light in his eyes was staring at the jade archway for a moment. He saw his puppet body, True Lord Swanyan, and his nascent soul and physical body were shattered bit by bit amidst the mighty bells. The essence, mana, etc. are absorbed by the giant brass bell. Then a pure spiritual power was converted into the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth by the formation, and was introduced into the green pine, giant sword, flame energy, alms bowl, and earth seal. The suppressive power of the entire formation became a little stronger. Seeing all this in his eyes, Su Junming looked solemn. Did the Yuan Shen monks who entered it before be killed by this giant bell? The chime of this giant bell is very similar to the soul-suppressing bell that he himself understood as the soul Taoist method, but he only targets the soul. This giant brass bell also contains the Tao of rhythm. The spirit treasures of the 10 spiritual taboos are really powerful. No wonder no Yuan Shen monk can come up with them. Staring at the giant brass bell, Su Junming didn't know if other than it, the 5 surrounding spiritual treasures would join in the attack. Even if you don't join, just this giant brass bell is enough to kill more than 90% of the monks who have not reached the 9th level of Yuan Shen. And in the entire Daong dynasty, and even in the entire world, how many monks can achieve the late stage of Yuan Shen? Su Junming, whose mind was wandering, was about to take a quick peek at the formation in order to find a way to solve it. Suddenly there was a movement in his heart, he activated his magic power, and a thick space barrier covered his figure. Somebody is coming. Not long ago, I just met once in the teleportation array, King Gluo Dao Elder Zhao Mingyuan flew over. This man glanced at the sapphire archway embedded in the third heaven in the center of the cave with a somewhat fearful expression. Without stopping, he flew directly towards a hill in the distance that shone with spiritual light. Su Junming's heart moved. Guan Hongxiu, carrying the sword box on his back, flew out from Daihuang Mountain. With a wave of his left hand, a round mirror with silver light fell into Guan Hongxiu's hand. The mirror light flashed, and Guan Hongxiu's figure disappeared, flying away into the distance under his driving force. He wants to stay here to understand the formations in the Chongyang inner courtyard, in order to crack them open and take away the spiritual treasures inside. But whether it will succeed in the end, Su Junming himself has no idea. In order to avoid returning empty-handed, the Chongyang upper court on the second floor cannot be spared. Manipulate Guan Hongxiu's puppet body and bring the four-elephant sword formation to high altitude. When I hold the round mirror above my head, the light from the basin-sized mirror is invisible and colorless, like a huge searchlight, looking straight towards the earth. This round mirror is the 8-foot mirror that Su Junming got from Su Fu when he was in Uncle Ju's world. In the pre-Qin period, this was a powerful Huishan spiritual treasure. With the decline of spiritual energy, in modern times, there are only 12 spiritual weapons that have completed the spiritual ban. Such a spiritual weapon has survived a catastrophe. Although the rank has fallen now, there is no need to undergo a tribulation to be promoted again. As long as there is enough spiritual energy, it can be restored. Therefore, since arriving in the new world, this baby has been promoted with sufficient spiritual energy. Especially after the phoenix egg absorbed more and more spiritual energy, and the spiritual energy accumulated in the cave of Daihuang Mountain became thicker and thicker, it even recovered into a spiritual treasure. Similar to it is the jade seal passed down from the hands of the Dragon Emperor. In comparison, Tai sword and Pa Jun sword are a bit of a pity. However, the spiritual energy in Su Junming's Emperor's cave cannot supply so many spiritual treasures, and he also needs materials to practice the natal sword formation. After some investigation, with the help of the 8-foot mirror, I quickly found the place with the strongest aura. The powerful spiritual light also means that there are the best spiritual treasures here. The flying figure of Guan Hongxiu stopped above a valley. The entire valley covers about 100 acres and is shrouded by a powerful formation. The surrounding area for hundreds of miles was full of life, and there was no trace of demonic energy at all. What a powerful formation! Based on Su Junming's understanding of the formation, the level of the formation here is at least the middle level of Dongming, and there are powerful things that can suppress the formation. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 366. With the help of the puppet body, he pushed the round mirror above his head. The bright mirror light shone on the formation, and the hazy aura of the formation instantly became clear. Layers of formations appeared in his eyes like extremely complex spider webs. Through the formation patterns, Su Junming also saw everything in the valley. This is a big tree with a height of more than 10 feet and a crown like clouds. The fluffy tree crown covers most of the valley. The light blue leaves are imprinted with purple lines, and they are curved like a palace. The canopy of trees is surrounded by colorful clouds, which looks extremely beautiful. The extremely rich King Mu's spiritual energy supported the entire formation. This is the palace treasure tree. When he saw the big tree in the valley, Su Junming's eyes widened instantly. He had only seen a description of this kind of immortal root in an extremely ancient jade slip from Mission Nanzang. The palace treasure tree, also known as the Xiangxi spirit tree, is a spiritual root that inherits the two attributes of greenwood and Hushan. It is said to be the descendant of the innate spiritual root Ji and Mu. Every leaf of the palace treasure tree will form a huge palace. And the higher the grade of the palace treasure tree, the bigger the palace becomes. If the palace treasure tree is strong enough, it is normal for a palace to reach the first level. Of course, this requires endless watering of spiritual energy. This palace treasure tree of Chongyang Road should be just a seedling. But even as a seedling, this is a powerful fairy root. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Su Junming briefly understood the formation in front of him. Although he could not fully understand it, this Dongming level formation was a main defensive formation. Use the treasure tree in the palace as the eye of the formation. This tree will not fall and the formation will not be destroyed. The palace treasure tree in front of me is indeed a powerful fairy root. Unless you have the power of the 10th level of Yuan Shen, it will be difficult to cut it off. With the help of Guan Hongxiu's puppet body, he activated the 8-foot mirror, and powerful spatial spiritual power exploded. A black dot appeared in front of him. Feeling the aura within the formation, Su Junming controlled the puppet body to fly in. After entering the formation, the palace treasure tree in front of me was dozens of times larger than outside. Giant trees hundreds of meters tall, like a huge cloud, cover the sky. Under the astonishing canopy, there are thick branches like mountains. The rich spiritual energy is almost as good as Su Junming's Daihuan cave. After a brief inspection, he activated the escape light and flew straight forward. Su Junming didn't notice until he got closer. Although this palace treasure tree is 100 feet tall, its trunk is as thick as a mountain and actually has only 3 layers and 6 huge branches and leaves. The top layer is the largest, the middle 2 leaves are second, and the bottom 3 leaves are the smallest. But even the smallest blade is dozens of feet tall. The gaps between the leaves are filled with 7 colored clouds. If you look at it from the outside, you can't see how many leaves it has unless you use a bronze mirror. Manipulate the puppet body to examine it for a moment, activate your magic power, and escape into one of the 3 lowest leaves. When falling into the leaves, the scenery in front of you intuitively changes. The huge leaves instantly turned into a magnificent palace. The entire palace is divided into 7 floors, front and back, and each floor has dozens of small and large sub-halls. It covers an area of tens of thousands of acres. Su Junming wanted to directly control the puppet body to fly in, but was quickly blocked by a thick barrier. He briefly tested the thickness of the barrier, and then landed lightly on a bluestone square hundreds of acres in size. There are 12 huge copper furnaces in 2 rows and 6 columns on both sides of the square. Walking along the copper furnace and climbing 100 meters of steps, you will find a grand palace with a height of tens of meters. On the lintel of the palace door, there is a huge plaque with 3 words written horizontally. Library Hall. It is rumored that the Chongyang Tao has 12 fundamental inheritances and 72 direct teaching methods. I wonder if they are here. Su Junming controlled the puppet body, took 1 step, and arrived in front of the palace gate in an instant. After activating the 8-child mirror and discovering that the restriction here was not too strong, he activated the Hushan god to perform the technique and stepped in. The space of the palace is larger than what you see from the outside. It is 1,000 meters wide, hundreds of meters high, and 500 to 600 meters deep. In such a grand hall, 4 lotus lanterns floated in mid-air, and the bright flames illuminated the entire hall. Well! A long and old sigh suddenly echoed in the vast and empty hall. Da-da! Accompanied by the sound of a wooden staff hitting the floor, an old man wearing grey robes and holding a wooden staff walked out from the depths of the hall. His hair was messy and his head was lowered. The old man's steps were staggering, as if he was about to die, but his aura was strong and obscure. No one has been here for a long time. While he was speaking, the old man raised his head, revealing an old face with white beard and hair, but there was a hint of numbness in his expression. Little guy, Are you a disciple of Chongyang Dao? No. Su Junming shook his head with a calm expression. No. The old man's expression suddenly changed, a strange red light flashed from his eyes, and his expression became distorted. The tyrannical momentum was like a volcano erupting, rushing straight towards Su Junming. Then go die. With a wave of the wooden stick in his hand, it instantly turned into a giant pillar, and fell down like a sky-high force. The 8-foot mirror flashed with light, and Su Junming controlled the puppet body, moving 100 feet horizontally like changing its shape, looking at the old man close at hand, and flicked his fingers. The sharp sword energy and lightning flew past. The old man's head was cut off instantly. However, no blood came out. The headless corpse was waving a wooden stick like a normal person. With a whoosh, the giant pillar transformed by the wooden staff instantly turned into countless thick wooden arrows, which were shot towards Su Junming overwhelmingly. The severed head opened its mouth with an astonishing arc that seemed to be torn apart, extremely ferocious. Soon, countless black turbid currents spewed out after the wooden arrows. Even though he was far away, Su Junming could feel the extremely filthy evil spirit inside. He frowned slightly and waved his sleeves. In an instant, sword energy swarmed out like a storm. Whether it was wooden arrows, demonic energy, or the remaining corpse of the old man, they were all strangled cleanly. Just as he was about to control the puppet body to leave, he stopped walking, frowned slightly, and looked ahead. With the sound of the crutches falling to the ground, the dead old man walked out from the depths of the hall again. This time it's not one, but 3 at the same time. 3 identical people, no, they should be demons. 6 eyes flashing with bloodthirsty scarlet light stared at the puppet body. Anyone who offends me, die. The 3 of them waved their wooden sticks at the same time, and struck the puppet with heavy shadows like mountains and seas. Looking at the wooden staffs all over the sky, Su Junming pinched his sword fingers with his right hand. Choke. The crisp sword cry sounded from the sword box behind him. Demon Slayer sword. Whoa, a sword light of 100 feet rose into the sky from behind, and the sharp sword energy swept out. The light of the sword was extinguished in a flash. The shadow in mid-air disappeared immediately. Immediately following the sound of Chilla, the entire hall split into 2 halves. The sunlight from the Chongyang upper courtyard shone in, breaking the strange atmosphere in the hall. Su Junming stepped forward and looked at the old man lying on the ground beside his feet, killed by the demon-slaying sword. He stretched out his hand and the wooden stick in his hand flew up. The 9 treasure forbidden magic weapons are unfortunately infected by demonic energy. Even so, for Su Junming, if the demonic energy is transformed, it will indeed be the material to support Yimen Huangliang and Daihuang Mountain Cave Heaven. A storage gourd that is conveniently tucked into your waist. With a snap of his fingers, a grain of yellow rice sank into the old man's body, but his soul was not captured. His brows furrowed. How is it possible? Even if you are possessed by a demon, there should be a soul there. Unless it is a puppet. After thinking for a moment, he shook his head. He didn't care anymore, walked out of the hall and walked towards the depths. After he left, the old man's broken body recovered again after a flash of light. He stood up and looked at the direction Su Junming was leaving, with a smile of interest on his face. It turns out he is a sword cultivator. Although he is not a soul, I like his natal flying sword. Especially the precious mirror, which should be the Hushan Dao spiritual treasure. After the greedy eyes flashed, the old man's body fell to the ground and returned to its original state. Silence returned to the broken hall. Not long after, a mirror image flashed across, spanning thousands of feet, and merged into the 8-foot mirror. The light and shadow on the mirror flickered, replaying the strange scene in the hall just now in front of Su Junming. Who is this person? Deep doubts came to mind. He was able to enter the protective formation suppressed by the treasure tree in this palace, thanks to the Lingbao level 8-foot mirror. Although in the entire Daong cultivation world, and even in this cultivation world, he is definitely not the only one who possesses the Huishan spiritual treasure, but seeing how this person controls the old man's body with ease, he is obviously very familiar with this place. However, he firmly believed that with his understanding of Huishan Taoism, it was absolutely impossible for anyone to rush here ahead of him. It seems that the water in Chongyang Cave is deeper than imagined. Su Junming, who didn't think about the outcome, suppressed the doubts in his heart for the time being. With the presence of Daihuang Cave and heaven, he would be invincible. He raised his head and looked at the hall in front of him. Tai Chi Hall. A 3-character plaque hangs in the center. Step inside. In the grand hall, there are nearly 100 long tables with pens, inks, paper, inkstones, and blank jade slips arranged neatly. Behind the long desk, there is a futon. However, the arrangement of the futon is a bit messy, the ink on the spread paper is only half written, and the jade slips are not organized neatly. I wanted to come and go in an extremely hurry. Su Junming stepped forward to a desk. On the open white paper, it was written in fair handwriting. The way to sincerity starts with Mingde. If the heart is right, the mind will be clear. If the mind is right, the yang will increase, and the yang energy will. I just finished writing the word qi and stopped before I could write the rest. However, looking at this line, it is obvious that he intends to write an article about his experience of Chunyang Taoism. It is rumored that there is a pure Yang sword code among the 12 fundamental inheritances of Chunyang Taoism. Based on the experience, it should be this technique. With one move of magic power, the jade slip on the table flew into his hand. At the same time, the paper on the table turned into fly ash. Su Junming was stunned for a moment, then understood. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 367. Chapter 360, Stone Mill Hell. I'm afraid no one has been here for nearly 1,000 years. Fortunately, jade slips can preserve text much longer than paper. Although the jade slip in his hand is old in color, it is not damaged. Divine consciousness is immersed, and countless words are reflected in the sea of consciousness. Taoist Dingzin said 9 chapters of the Chunyang Sword Canon. As soon as you hear the name, you know that what is recorded here is a piece of practice and understanding of the pure Yang Sword Canon. Su Junming himself practices the Tao of Chunyang, and he can understand the level of this Dingzin Taoist's teachings with just a little insight. Judging from this book of instructions, this Taoist Dingzin's understanding of Chunyang Tao is at the level of a nascent soul monk. Put the jade slips into the storage cord around your waist. Continue to take 2 steps forward. There was another piece of paper spread out with slightly scrawled writing. There are 3 types of Swanyin, Taiyin, Kunyin, and Shayin, facing heaven, earth and people. Taiyin is solitary and cold in nature, Kunyin is turbid and cold in nature, Shayin is mediocre. This piece of paper is also unfinished, but compared to the experience just now, this piece is more like a paper copy. After he read the words written on the paper, it also turned into fly ash. Pick up the jade slip next to it. The Yuanying chapter of the Taiyin Refining Sutra. After reading it, Su Junming felt deeply. This is a Taiyin method that is not inferior to the Xianyin ghost-slaying sword taught by Mission's direct disciples. Moreover, the Swanyin ghost-slaying sword corresponds to the way of Shayin, while this Taiyin refining manual corresponds to the way of Taiyin. The combination of the two, plus the Kunyin method, is a complete Xian method. It's a pity that there is no follow-up method. Based on Su Junming's understanding of the mysterious world, the methods before Yuan Shen are of little use to him, and it is the later Yuan Shen chapter that is really helpful. Thinking of this, he looked deep into the hall. There are 2 gates there. Walking through the corridor, he reached out and touched, and an invisible barrier blocked his palm. Really? Activate the 8-foot mirror. With the magic of Hushan Taoism, he passed through this restriction in an instant. When you come inside, you are greeted by neatly arranged shelves. All the shelves are 10 meters long, 3 feet wide and 5 feet high. It's just that the shelf on the left is completely black, and the shelf on the right is completely white, like jade. Moving forward from Su Junming's position, there are about 12 rows and 24 columns of shelves. Every shelf is filled with jade slips. Su Junming simply picked up a few and took a look. They are all very simple and easy to understand cultivation experiences of Chunyang or Swanyan, and the jade slips on each shelf have the same content. Moreover, Chunyang Yi's cultivation experience is placed on the white shelf on the right. Swanyan's cultivation experience is placed on the black shelf on the left. Obviously, this is a library prepared for those disciples who only have innate cultivation. Passing through the long corridor between the 2 rows of bookshelves, there are still 2 portals. After using the 8-foot mirror to pass through the restriction, there is a huge hall in front of you. There is a large wooden door on the front, back, left and right. On the lintel, in neat fonts, are written Golden Pill Hall, Yuanying Hall, and Yuan Shen Hall in the middle. Su Junming has little interest in Jindan Hall and Yuanying Hall. After taking a brief look, he took a step towards the Yuan Shen Temple in the middle. The restriction on the gate of Yuan Shen Temple is the strongest, but no matter how strong it is, it cannot stop the Lingbao level 8-foot mirror. After passing through the restriction of the portal, what appeared in front of him was no longer a jade slip. Instead, they were volumes of gold floating in the air. Su Junming counted it and found that there were 16 volumes in total. This also means that during the nearly 10,000 years that Chongyang Taoism has been established in the sect, there have been at least 16 disciples who have practiced the Pure Yang Sword Code or the Taiyan Refining Manual to reach the realm of Yuan Shen. This number is almost equivalent to the number of Yuan Shen monks produced by the Mission Nanzong sect in 2000 years. Su Junming stretched out his hand. A golden book flew into the palm of my hand. 3 chapters on Chunyang by Zhenjiangzi. After a brief look, Su Junming didn't want to waste time here because it was just a puppet body and he couldn't borrow a bronze mirror to help him understand. Recruited a golden book again. Fairy Xiaoxiang has understood the 7 words of the Taiyan Refining Sutra. Su Junming frowned slightly. After reading all the golden books, he found that the 16 golden books were all filled with cultivation insights. There is no cultivation method or Tao method of the Pure Yang Sword Code and the Taiyan Refining Manual. He activated the 8-foot mirror and looked through the entire room. After still finding nothing, he put away all the gold books. Whether it was someone who got there first, or it was premeditated. What is more important to me is not the method, but these practice notes. With them, Su Junming can quickly comprehend the mysteries with the help of bronze mirrors. Raise your level of Yin and Yang Dao to the peak of the realm of Yuan Shen. Su Junming, who had gained a lot, did not go to the Yuanying and Jindan halls, but came to the latter hall. It is also the 3rd hall in the entire library hall. There are also 3 words written on the plaque. 5 Elements Palace. The layout inside is the same as the Tai Chi hall in front. As the name suggests, it contains exercises with 5 elements attributes. All the way into the Yuan Shen Temple. There are 39 golden volumes here. They are also all kinds of practice experiences. However, the Fire God True Scripture, Jellyfish Treasure Record, Splitting Mountain Divine Technique and Yumu Evergreen Scripture among the 12 sects of Chongyang Taoism are not included. Su Junming is most curious about the Splitting Mountain Divine Technique, which is a method with dual attributes of gold and earth that points directly to the path of immortality. The 4th hall of the library hall is called the Fantasy Temple. Hidden inside is the cultivation method of the Huan Shen Sutra in the 12 inheritances of Chongyang Taoism. This was the first time that Su Junming encountered the illusion technique method that directly pointed to the immortal way. However, there are not many people who can enter the Yuan Shen through illusions in the Chongyang Dao for thousands of years. There are only 5 volumes of cultivation experience collected in the Yuan Shen temple. The 5th hall of the book collection hall is called the Tianxiang Hall. Hidden inside are the 3 Taoist teachings of the 12 Chongyang Tao inheritances, the Sacred Thunder Treasure Record, the Wind-Breathing Divine Technique, and the Mist to Universe Heart Sutra. The number of gold volumes of Yuan Shen collected here is second only to the 5 Elements Palace, reaching 22 volumes. The 6th hall of the book collection hall is called the Beast Control Hall. Hidden inside is the cultivation method of the True Sutra for the control of 10,000 beasts from the 12 sects of Chongyang Taoism. This profession, similar to that of a summoner, can control the natal spiritual beast. The stronger the natal spiritual beast is, the higher the strength will be. According to the training experience in the Yuan Shen temple, once you reach the Yuan Shen realm, you can merge with your natal spiritual beast and your strength will increase dramatically. In addition, the natal spirit beast can also assist the driver in practicing. No matter how you look at it, Su Junming feels that practicing this Taoist method is equivalent to a practitioner practicing his natal magic weapon. It's just that natal magic weapons are rare, but there are many spiritual beasts. Of course, powerful spiritual beasts are as rare as natal magic weapons. But the advantage of practicing this method is that there is no need to have only one natal spiritual beast like the natal magic weapon. If the soul is strong enough, or if the spirit beast has been cultivated since childhood, it can control 2, 3, or even more. Su Junming looked at it briefly and put away all 9 volumes of cultivation experience. Although he did not intend to practice, the experience of cultivating spiritual beasts was very useful. After all, his disciples have spiritual beasts with them, which is a big help in training them. The last hall of the library hall is called the Wanfa Hall. The space here is the largest and the collection is the most complex. In addition to the famous 108 Chongyang Tao methods, as well as cultivation experience, there are hundreds of thousands of books made of various materials such as jade slips, gold books, wooden boards, tortoise shells, etc., which is 10 times that of Mission Nanzang. The foundation of the 10,000 years sect is indeed extraordinary. Of course, it also makes Su Junming, a book lover, feel like he has found a treasure. After the excitement, I took a deep breath, looked at the dazzling array of books around me, and suppressed my desire to put them all in my bag. After taking one last look, he activated the 8-foot mirror and walked out of the library hall. When I came to the outside, after looking around for a while, I flew to a leaf on the left. The same thing happened again, getting closer. The leaves in front of me turned into a huge palace. Looking across the grand square, the wide, flat steps extending upward, I saw the plaque hanging high on the Vermilion Palace. The Hall of Transmission. 3 golden characters shine brightly. The Dharma Hall. Fly up and push open the closed door. In a space of tens of thousands of square meters, there is a lotus altar in the center, on which sits an old Taoist wearing a yellow Taoist robe, holding a floating dust in his hand. There are hundreds of futons surrounding the old Taoist, and on each futon are male and female disciples wearing gray and white Taoist robes with their eyes closed. Hundreds of people are sitting here, but there is no life at all. The silent atmosphere makes people feel uneasy. Suddenly, the light dimmed. It turns out that the portal through which Su Junming came in has disappeared. At this time, the old Taoist in yellow robe on the lotus platform opened his eyes. His scarlet eyes looked straight at Su Junming like a devil. Following the old man's gaze, all the male and female disciples sitting cross-legged on the futon turned their heads and looked over at the same time. Under the gaze of more than 1,000 scarlet eyes, even Su Junming felt quite uncomfortable. "You are late." An old and strange voice sounded. The scarlet light flashes, dots of brilliance, extremely eerie. If you don't obey the rules, you will be punished by suffering in the hell of grinding stones. The sound became weirder as it went back, and the environment in front of Su Junming changed drastically. It was no longer an empty hall, but a filthy and muddy land. Paths of ghost energy steamed up from the ground, transforming into various ghost shapes. A 3-foot-long black stone mill stretches 2 feet in front of him. The giant black tree, as thick as an adult's waist, was held in the palm of a 5-foot-tall, indigo-green ghost with a green face and fangs. The black stone mill that looks like a small room is covered with the crushed flesh and bones. Piercing screams came from under other large mills around them. The sound of bones being crushed and muscles being torn stimulates the nerves of fear and makes people shudder. Everything here is 100% consistent with people's imagination of the stone-grinding hell in the 18 levels of hell. This kind of tragedy and despair that goes straight into the soul can make even a determined person despair. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 368. Go quickly. A strong force pushed towards the back of Su Junming's puppet. 2 ghost soldiers, nearly 10 feet tall and holding steel forks, were pushing him towards the millstone not far away with minced flesh and blood still stuck to it. And he himself was tightly bound by a black iron chain. Su Junming took a slight breath, and the thick yin qi, along with the smell of blood, poured into his nose. It is rumored that in the Huan Shen Sutra of the 12 true transmissions of Chongyang Taoism, in addition to the cultivation methods, the most powerful Taoist method is the 18 hells. It can block the 5 senses, confuse the soul, and send people to hell in a single thought. Suffer and let the caster control life and death. I originally thought that the rumors were a bit exaggerated, but now that I have experienced them carefully, I realize that they are quite powerful. Unfortunately, they are still too far gone to confuse me. After saying that, the sound of the sword sounded. The surging sword energy was like a storm, venting crazily in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the stone-grinding hell in front of him was shattered like a mirror. The main hall appeared in front of you again, but there was no old Taoist on the lotus seat, and there were no hundreds of disciples on the futons around it. A gust of wind blew up, and apart from the lotus seat, the futon that had exhausted its essence over the endless years turned into ashes. He stretched out his hand and the lotus seat flew towards him. After a ray of mana subsided, the lotus seat carried the light and turned it into a black book. There are 3 etched words on the cover. 18 hells of the underworld. After opening it, there were exactly 18 pages inside. Every page is a painting. Just deal with the tongue-pulling hell, scissor hell, iron tree hell, evil mirror hell, steamer hell, copper pillar hell, knife mountain hell, iceberg hell, oil pot hell, cow pit hell, stone pressure hell, mortar hell, blood pool hell, the hell of wasted death, the hell of punishment, the hell of volcano, the hell of grinding stones and the hell of saws. The entire 18 hells of the netherworld is a magic weapon with 12 forbidden treasures. After realizing it carefully, Su Junming was secretly shocked. Although this treasure is an illusion magic weapon, it has some spatial attributes. The 18 hells are like 18 spaces, and the various torture instruments inside also possess the energy of gold and iron. If released, they would definitely be stronger than the magical instruments made of ordinary hardware. It is said that after Huandao is promoted to the nascent soul realm, he can be half truth and half false. Now looking at the 18 hells of the netherworld, it is somewhat possible. Putting away this treasure, Su Junming looked around the various halls in the Dharma transmission hall, but found nothing else. The so-called preaching hall is actually a place for preaching and receiving karma. Every 7th day, high-level monks from Chongyang Taoism come to preach to lower-level disciples. Generally speaking, the golden elixir is taught to the innate, the nascent soul is taught to the golden elixir, and the Yuan Shen is taught to the nascent soul. Therefore, there are a total of 3 main halls in the Chuanfa Hall. There are dozens of small halls around, which are used for communication among monks of the same class. In addition to the Dharma transmission hall and the library hall, the palace on the last leaf of the third floor is called the Merit Hall. This is where Chongyang Dao releases sect missions, and it also allows disciples within the sect to communicate with each other. I haven't encountered anything weird here, and I've found a lot of things. It's a pity that most of them are at the Dongzhen and Dongxian levels. There are very few at the Big Cave level, and there is none at the Dongming level. He casually threw the box containing an 8-striped spirit forbidden weapon into the storage gourd. Let's save it for rewarding the students of Chongshan Academy in the future. Looking up, from his perspective, the two leaves were extremely huge, covering the sky and the sun. With anticipation in his eyes, the light flew up and landed on the leaves on the left like lightning. The situation in front of him changed, but what appeared was not the palace he thought. It is a manor that is as large as 10,000 acres. The entire manor is protected by a 3-foot-high vermilion wall. There is only a tall bluestone archway for entry and exit. The archway also has 3 archways, facing a bluestone platform measuring more than 10 acres. Su Junming landed on the stone platform and looked up. Under the dark green tiles, on the archway in the middle, there were 4 golden seal characters. Shenan Courtyard. Before coming, Su Junming investigated a lot of information about Chongyang Road through his own connections. But there is no record about Shenan Villa. It may also be that Chongyang Taoism has been in decline for so long that everyone has forgotten about it. However, although I have never heard of it. But just looking at the name, it's not difficult to guess the function here. Stepping forward, there was no surprise. The restrictions in this courtyard are surprisingly powerful. They have reached the level of insight and can block monks of the first and second levels of Yuan Shen. There was expectation in Su Junming's eyes. The stronger the ban, the more it means there are good things in it. The mana in the puppet's body was activated, and the aura of the 8-foot mirror surged. The powerful Hushan Taoist method quickly opened a passage in. Flying in, a very thick King Mu spiritual energy came to meet him. But what he saw in front of him made him frown tightly. The tall spiritual trees should have lush branches and strong spiritual energy. But now they are extremely withered. The black trunks and fallen leaves indicate that they have been dead for a long time. He walked forward, 100 meters at a time, and soon came to a large stone. There were several tall grasses with slender leaves growing on the corners. Su Junming pinched a piece of grass. The originally intact grass stem turned into black powder and scattered in the wind the moment he picked it up. His brows furrowed. Even the sword grass has withered. Yejianko is known as the most tenacious spiritual grass. As long as there is a trace of spiritual energy, it will not wither. But looking at the current situation, it is obvious that he has been dead for many years. Seeing the whole courtyard withered and extinct, Su Junming looked deeper. I want to see what is it that swallows up the life here. As soon as the thought came to an end, his eyes turned cold, and several sword energy flew out. A few shishi sounds were heard, and the sound of heavy objects falling to the ground came. Immediately after the pungent smell came, although the puppet itself was dead, Su Junming, who controlled him, still subconsciously closed his breath. The smell, like a rotting corpse, was really unpleasant. Turn around. There are 3 vines on the ground that are dark in color, of different lengths, and twist like snakes. It's like the struggle before death, with a hint of madness. The strange thing is that compared with ordinary rattans, these rattans are not only covered with scarlet sharp barbs, but also have circles of fleshy spines at the tips. These fleshy spines are like the mouth of an octopus, extending inward, as if the entire inside of the rattan is filled with such things. Just when Su Junming was analyzing what this thing was, the ground suddenly trembled. Like sword eyebrows, it rises into the sky with escaping light. With a boom, the ground cracked open, and dozens of huge rat hands that were similar to the previous rat hands but 100 times thicker rose into the sky like springs. The ferocious opening at the tip is like a passage leading to hell, and circles of flesh thorns are eating straight towards the puppet's body. Facing this unknown thing, Su Junming looked calm and pinched it with his fingers. Hushan barrier. The 8-foot mirror flashed with light, and a tough space barrier stood in front of him. No matter how hard these rat hands were exerted, they could not be shaken even a little bit. Finger transformation. Demon Slayer sword. With a choking sound, a stream of light flew out of the sword box and fell in the air like lightning. Along with the dark green and extremely smelly juice, the dozen and the rat hands seemed to have lost their strength and fell down. A boom made the whole earth tremble. The trees, flowers, and plants that were already lifeless were instantly shattered by the shock. G. The harsh and angry voice resounded throughout the sky. Immediately afterwards, the entire area of 10,000 acres within Sheneng Villa began to tremble. In an instant, earth and rocks exploded, cracks opened, and there was a major change like a magnitude 12 earthquake. A shocking giant monster appeared on the ground. It was hundreds of feet tall, like a skull-like head magnified countless times. In addition to the jet-black eyes and the huge mouth, the huge head was covered with the kind of vines that Su Junming had cut off several of them. There are hundreds, even thousands, of rat hands, or tentacles, of various sizes and thicknesses. They are so densely packed that they look like flying snakes, making people's scalp numb and their hearts tense. This is the first time Su Junming has seen such an ugly monster. In particular, the aura on its body is no less than that of the second or third level Yuan Shen. But there is a sense of madness and bloodthirsty in his consciousness, which is extremely scattered and does not look like a normal demon cultivator. It hurts so much. I want to eat so delicious food. Confused spiritual consciousness, fragmented spiritual thoughts, and information revealed intermittently. G. Accompanied by an earth-shattering roar, the monster opened its huge mouth, and the extremely dense black corpse energy condensed into a black skull that was thousands of feet tall. The moment the skull took shape, it hit Su Junming like a mountain. What a strong corpse energy! Surprised in his heart, he pressed the 8-foot mirror, and an extremely thick space barrier blocked his body. Boom! There was a shocking loud noise, and bursts of invisible but qualitative ripples appeared in the air. The black skull turned into corpse aura and shattered into pieces. But immediately after, thousands of tentacles came over overwhelmingly. Cracks appeared in the air, and Su Junming was a little surprised when he saw them. Although his 8-foot mirror has not returned to its peak, it is still a spiritual treasure of the 5th level spiritual ban. The space barrier activated by it as the foundation can block the Taoist methods of 5th level Yuan Shen monks and even 6th level Yuan Shen monks. But now it was actually broken by this unknown giant monster. G. There were shouts of excitement in the madness. Eat, I want to eat. The huge mouth opened, and another giant black skull condensed and took shape in the extremely thick corpse aura. Su Junming frowned. Time was running out, and although he didn't know the name of this big monster, he didn't want to delay here anymore. He picked up the sword with his right hand. Slay the demon, kill the demon. Choke, there were 2 sword sounds, and green and red sword lights shot up into the sky. The tyrannical sword energy turned into a 1,000-foot giant sword. As Su Junming's sword pointed at his subordinates, it seemed as if the Milky Way was falling, and it fell down like lightning. G. There was panic in his voice. The black skull flew straight towards the sword light, and thousands of tentacles were entangled with each other to form a huge umbrella, protecting the head in the middle. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 369. Chapter 362 Corpse Heart Demon Earthworm. Shishi. The sharp sword energy instantly cut through everything, and 2 cross-shaped sword marks appeared on the ground. Su Junming shook his right hand. The powerful sword energy spread out, like thousands of threads, expanding around like lightning. In an instant, two lotuses, one green and one red, completely formed by sword energy, covered the entire space. Monsters, earth, rocks, dead wood, everything was crushed to pieces by the sword energy. Along with the flying dust, like snowflakes, two sword lights, one green and one red, flew towards the puppet and disappeared into the sword box behind the puppet's body. Su Junming stretched out his hand and made two fist-sized beads fly out of the sword box. One is pale gold in color, and the other is as black as ink. The jet black beads contain extremely strong essence of corpse energy, just like the demon elixir of the Yuan Shen demon cultivator. As for the light gold beads, is this the innate pure yang energy? After Su Junming felt it with his consciousness for a moment, he was shocked. An idea flashed in his mind, and he remembered the records about a monster in the ancient books he had read before. Yin and yang are born in the body. This thing is, corpse heart demon earthworm. The corpse heart demon earthworm is an extremely rare monster. It grows in a place rich in yin energy and feeds on corpse energy. After 300 years, a demon pill will be born in the body. However, what is different from ordinary demons is that at the same time as the demon pill is born, a pure yang spirit pearl is also born in the mind of the corpse heart demon earthworm. As the corpse heart demon earthworm continues to grow, this pure yang spirit bead also continues to become stronger. This monster is one of the very few monsters in the body that is innately compatible with the Tai Chi way of yin and yin and yang. It is precisely because of this that this monster is extremely powerful by nature. Once it grows to the nascent soul realm, it can swallow almost anything. Just like this Shenan villa, all life is swallowed up by it. Reaching the realm of Yuan Shen, the corpse heart demon earthworm can even awaken the two magical powers of yin and yang. Under strangulation, with its powerful demonic energy, it can even cross levels to challenge. But for some unknown reason, this corpse heart demon earthworm only has Swanyan magical powers and has not awakened pure yang magical powers. Moreover, this corpse heart demon earthworm's spiritual consciousness is scattered, and its soul cannot take shape. It does not look like a complete demon cultivator, but more like someone who has been raised by others. Pet. His eyes were slightly narrowed, with a look of thought on his face. Who on earth is it? His heart moved, and there was a cold light in his eyes. With a wave of his hand, a sword light flew towards the entrance where he came from. Boom! A black shield appeared in mid-air, blocking the sword energy. Fellow Taoist, take your time, take your time. Following the urgent voice, a young man wearing a light blue robe with a cynical smile on his face showed his head from behind the shield. Su Junming turned around with a calm expression. Who are you? He, it's friendly. The young man put away his shield and bowed his hand to Su Junming several times before saying, I am Dong Hai Sans Hulu Yu. I also came to Chongyang Cave to explore treasures. I just came from the spiritual beast courtyard opposite. Su Junming raised his eyebrows. Is the opposite side called Spirit Beast Courtyard? Luo Yu nodded repeatedly. It is rumored that among the 12 true traditions of Chongyang Taoism, there is a strait of controlling 10,000 beasts, which is the best secret book for controlling beasts. I originally thought that there must be countless spirit beasts in the Spirit Beast Courtyard, but I didn't expect that after entering, there were countless spirit beasts. Not even a hair was caught. Really, Su Junming said calmly. Of course. If you are suspicious, fellow Taoist, please come with me to find out. He looked at him deeply. No need. Actuating the 8-foot mirror, the light flashed out, leaving the Shenan courtyard, and the blue clouds flew straight up to the last leaf. At the same time, Su Junming himself, who stayed at the jade archway, also woke up from his meditation. Looking at the two men in black flying from a distance, the familiar aura on their bodies instantly made Su Junming understand their identities. The two of them landed directly in front of the gate engraved with the inner courtyard of Chongyang. Brother Qin, this should be the place that Lord Montenegro told you about, right? Qin Mo nodded. Chongyang inner courtyard, that's right. Are we really going in? Master Shenying showed a trace of hesitation on his face. After all, the Chongyang Cave Heaven inner courtyard has had a terrible reputation of being accessible but not accessible for hundreds of years. Haha, Brother Deo, you and I both have the spirit of the three corpses. Even if we fall into it, we still won't die. What's more, we still have the spiritual talisman given by Lord Montenegro, so don't worry. Thinking of the newly acquired life-saving magical power, Master Shenying also breathed a sigh of relief. I hope this trip goes well. Patting his shoulder, Qin Mo said, let's get started. Master Condor nodded. The two of them looked serious, and each took out a scarlet red pill the size of a pigeon egg from the magic bag. After raising their heads and swallowing, the auras on both of them instantly swelled. They, who had already completed the 12 transformations of the nascent soul, instantly stepped into the Yuan Shen. 1 level, 2 levels, and finally stopped after the 5th level. The two looked at each other. Walk. Together with the escape light, it crashed towards the sapphire archway. Su Junming saw this and quickly activated the bronze mirror. Although he didn't know the origin of the scarlet pill, he wanted to know what the two of them would do next. Although the cultivation levels of Qin Mo and Master Shenying were temporarily improved, their out-and-out soul-level mana allowed them to easily enter the 3rd level of the Chongyang Cave. Sensing someone intruding, the formation was activated instantly, and a mighty bell rang. Qin Mo's finger technique changed, and a ray of yellow light flew out of his magic bag and turned into a 7-layer canopy. From top to bottom, each layer of this canopy is a cloud of 7 colors. There is no connection between each layer of the canopy, but it is like a whole. What a powerful spiritual treasure! With the help of the bronze mirror, Su Junming instantly saw through the reality of the canopy. The 10 spiritual taboos mean that this is a top-quality spiritual treasure. Moreover, looking at its aura, it is extremely pure and has a noble spirit. It is obviously a spiritual treasure of the right way. Where did the old demon from Montenegro get such a powerful righteous spiritual treasure? Just when he was confused, Qin Mo and Master Shenying gritted their teeth and poured their magic power into the canopy. Driven by their magic power, dazzling 7-color auras soared into the sky from the canopy. When this aura collided with the bell, the latter suddenly declined. The 7-colored auras spanned 100 feet and swiped towards the giant clock in the air. In Su Junming's unbelievable eyes, the giant bell seemed like a child tempted by candy, flying from the top of the giant cauldron, and falling into the 2nd layer of the canopy with the colorful aura. When the two sides combine, each other's auras greatly increase. If Su Junming didn't understand at this time, he would have wasted so much time practicing Taoism. Obviously, the giant bell and the canopy are the same spiritual treasure, but for some reason, they were separated before. The canopy blessed by the giant bell had an extremely powerful spiritual light. With another brush, the green pine trees, giant sword, red flag, seal, and water bowl connected to the giant cauldron all trembled. The formation formed by the 5 spiritual treasures was too strong, and they were in a stalemate with Huagai. Su Junming watched with dazzled eyes, paying close attention to every change between the two parties. His form here is at a stalemate. Controlling Guan Hongxiu's puppet body over there, he also reached the last layer of leaves of the palace treasure tree. Different from the palaces on other leaves, there is a small temple with 2 entrances on this last leaf. The yellow walls, black tile roof, and log-colored doorway all looked ordinary. Through the windows on both sides, you can see the courtyard inside. Su Junming looked up and saw 3 large black characters on the plaque. Ancestral Hall. Oh, fellow Taoist, you are flying too fast. Luo Yu just landed and looked up. Ancestral Hall? Is this what is on the last leaf? I thought it was the treasure trove of the Chongyang Tao. Su Junming glanced at him and stepped forward. Fellow Taoist, wait for me. Choke. There was a sword cry, and a stream of red light stopped a foot away from Luo Yu's throat. A 3-foot flying sword was revealed. While the sword energy was inhaling, countless black dots appeared around it. That is the different phase that appears when space is shattered. Luo Yu saw this, his heart trembled, and he quickly stopped. Fellow Taoist, I don't mean any harm. Su Junming half turned around with a cold expression. I don't care if you have any malicious intentions or not. If you have the ability, you can take the treasure inside before me. Otherwise, just leave. Don't even think about following me, pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger. Fellow Taoist, I only have the cultivation level of nascent soul's 10 transformations, but I can't compare with you. Being here depends entirely on luck. Fellow Taoist, please don't get me wrong, Luo Yu said tremblingly. Su Junming gave him a cold look. Remember what I said. After activating the 8-foot mirror and opening the restriction in the Patriarch Hall, he flashed and escaped into it. The fear and timidity on Luo Yu's face disappeared instantly. Looking at the direction in which Su Junming's puppet body disappeared, there was a hint of amusement in his eyes. This guy is so vigilant, but it doesn't matter, there is still a backup waiting for you. I'm not afraid that you won't give in, he. His expression changed, and after regaining his previous caution, he walked straight towards the Patriarch Hall. Compared to Su Junming, who had to use the 8-foot mirror, he just made a few seals and walked in directly. After entering the Patriarch Hall, you first pass through a short corridor 4 to 5 meters long, and directly opposite is a hall. Surrounding it are ordinary small courtyards, about 100 square feet in size, paved with stones. The furnishings in the small courtyard are very simple, except for a stone table and a few stone benches in the corner, there is nothing else. After activating the 8-foot mirror and finding no restrictions, Su Junming walked on the gravel road to the main hall of the Patriarch's Hall. There are no restrictions here, but if you take one step forward, the situation will change in an instant. The space in front of him grew rapidly. In a space of several thousand square meters, a huge plaque is suspended in the air directly opposite. 4 words in the letter. Righteousness lasts forever. Below is a tall statue of God. The statue carries a long sword on its back, holds a fly whisk in its hand, and sits on the back of a unicorn. There is a ranking next to the statue. Ancestor Master Yuan Yang Zhenjun promised the spiritual throne of supernatural powers. Further down the row, there is a huge table, on which fruits, pears, peaches, and other items should have been enshrined. But now with the decline of Chongyang Road, it has become empty. Not far from the table, there is a 3-foot tall copper furnace. Thousands of years have passed, and the copper stove that was once full of incense has long since become cold. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 370. Surrounding the statue of the god, there are densely packed spiritual tablets distributed throughout the space. Looking at the number, I'm afraid it's no less than 10,000. At this time, footsteps came from behind. A glint flashed in Su Junming's eyes. Fellow Taoist, this ancestral hall is full of memorial tablets of dead people. There are no treasures at all. Luo Yu walked over cautiously and looked around again. Perhaps the previous warning worked, and he stopped 3 feet away from Su Junming. I glanced at him and was about to speak. Suddenly the long beeping lamp at the top of the Patriarch Hall started to shake. A ray of spiritual light flew down from the sky, transforming into an old man wearing a white robe, with an illusory figure, an old face, and a majestic face. Who are you? Luo Yu exclaimed, holding the original shield in his hand, and looked at the old man who suddenly appeared in front of him with vigilance and caution. You two little friends, please wait a moment. I am Chong Yuanzi, the great elder before the Chongyang Dao was destroyed. Great elder of Chongyang Dao? Are you the devil who became possessed and destroyed nearly 10,000 monks on Chongyang Dao? Luo Yu said. Chong Yuanzi sighed heavily. Thousands of years have passed. I didn't expect that the cause and effect of Chongyang Dao's destruction was all blamed on me by that evil obstacle. After a pause, Chong Yuanzi glanced at the two of them, especially staying on Su Junming for a moment. Can you two listen to what the old man has to say? Luo Yu turned around and said quickly, fellow Taoist, this is a big devil. Let's kill him quickly. Don't be bewitched by him. Su Junming looked directly at Chong Yuanzi's phantom, which was just a trace of the remaining soul. Say it. Seeing his promise, Luo Yu pursed his lips and gave up unwillingly. After Zhou Yuanzi nodded, there was a trace of memory in his eyes. More than 1,000 years ago, immortal soil fell into the South China Sea. In an instant, the water surged into the sky and submerged the entire south of the Yangtze River. The dynasty was overthrown and hungry people were everywhere. As the most powerful sect in the spiritual world at that time, Chongyang Dao disciples went out everywhere, helping with disaster relief while sending middle and senior members of the sect to explore the fairy land. Who knew that there was a big demon lurking in the fairy land with strong spiritual energy? Fortunately, he was seriously injured when he fell into this world. This gave Chongyang Dao and the other Yuanshen monks in the practice world a chance to kill him. The devil's physical body is too hard. Although it is broken, it cannot be damaged. And because of its strong evil spirit, it will poison the spiritual world. Although we have sealed it in the fairy land, this fairy land has also been turned into a cave by us, and it will sink forever. The 9 netherworlds of the earth. Su Junming's eyes flashed and he thought of the Black Mountain Dharma realm. I thought this matter would just go away. I never thought that the head of Chongyang Dao at that time, my nephew, would secretly leave behind a demon bone relic. The devil's bone relic. Su Junming suddenly whispered. He thought of the irregular black jade he saw in the 3rd level cauldron of Chongyang Cave. The thick demonic aura fits the description of the devil's bone relic in this person's mouth. After looking at him, the old man nodded. Yes, using demons to achieve enlightenment is just like Buddhism. What will be refined in the future is not the nascent soul, but a relic. However, the relics of the demonic path are usually called the demonic bone relics. This relic is also the fruit of the demon section. It contains extremely pure demon energy and the path of the devil. My junior brother, who is the head of the sect, has been trapped in the 10th level of Yuanshen, unable to move forward. He originally wanted to find a way to become an immortal from this devil's white bone relic, but he never thought that he would be harmed by the evil thoughts. He suddenly became a demon and was driven by the evil thoughts, secretly killing my Chongyang Dao disciples to practice magic. After the incident was exposed, I led the Yuanshen monks in my sect to fight against them. However, the head junior master controlled the sect's inherited immortal weapon Double Ninth Order, and with the help of the devil's bone relics, several junior nephews and I worked hard to defeat him. He is sealed within the sect's inherited spiritual treasure, the 5 weeks divine cauldron. Then I placed this big cauldron on the 3rd level in the Chongyang Cave. I only have this trace of my soul left, and I am lingering in this ancestral hall. I originally thought that after suppressing my possessed junior brother and sealing the heavenly demon's white bone relic, this matter would be over. I never thought that the demonic energy in the heavenly demon's white bone relic would be so powerful. Several junior disciples of Chongyang Dao noticed the 3rd level. Come and check out the changes within the day. As soon as I came in, it didn't take long before I was infected by the original demonic energy that escaped. Although they were unable to break the seal set by a few of us Yuanshen monks and obtain the demon's bone relics, they brought great disaster to the entire Chongyang Dao. A war involving tens of thousands of disciples from the entire Chongyang Dao destroyed Chongyang Dao, which had been glorious for thousands of years. The old man had a look of deep guilt and pain on his face. We are truly ashamed of our Chongyang Dao ancestors. After confessing, the old man looked at Su Junming's puppet body and Luo Yu. Fortunately, there is still hope. You too, as long as you are willing to join my Chongyang Dao, I am willing to give each other the 12 true inheritances of the Chongyang Dao, and guide you both to enter the third level and obtain various spiritual treasures inherited from my Chongyang Dao. Old man, are you lying to us? Who doesn't know that any Yuan Shen monk who enters the third level of Chongyang Cave will never come out, let alone Yuan Ying monks like us? If we really go in, we are afraid of death. Live, Luo Yu said. Haha, if they don't know the formula and just force their way in, they will naturally be strangled to death by the large formation set up by me and my nephews. But you are different. As long as you get the solution I gave you, you will be fine. I won't go, I won't go. The devil's bone relics are so terrifying. What if he becomes a demon? Luo Yu shook his head repeatedly. Although the relic is strong, it has been suppressed and refined in the 5 weeks divine cauldron for thousands of years. Even if it is not destroyed, its effectiveness is greatly reduced. Although the two cultivation levels are not Yuan Shen, they are still at the peak of Yuanying realm. As long as you are prepared, there is no need to worry. If you agree, I can also give you 2 of the heart protection talismans practiced by the Chongyang Taoist priests. Luo Yu's eyes rolled. Real? Humph, Junior. If I hadn't left only a trace of my spirit and couldn't get out of this ancestral hall, and for thousands of years, only the 2 of you could come here, would this benefit still fall on you? Luo Yu turned his head and said through a message. Fellow Taoist, this business looks like a sure profit. How about we take a trip? Su Junming didn't look at him, and looked directly at the old man with calm eyes. Do you know the cultivation techniques of the 12 true teachings of Chongyang Taoism? As the great elder of Chongyang Dao, I naturally know the secrets of my section. Su Junming stretched out his hand. Take it and take a look. I want to identify the authenticity. The old man's eyes flashed. Junior, you can't tell even if I'm cheating on the technique, so why bother? You say you are the great elder of Chongyang Dao, you must have something to prove it. Yes, you said you are who you are? Show us the evidence first and then talk about it, Luo Yu said helpfully. Glancing at Luo Yu and looking at Su Junming's calm expression, the old man nodded with a slightly ugly expression. Alas! Just give it to me. Chongyang Taoism has no secrets now. The old man waved his hand, and 12 volumes of ancient golden books flew out of his body. Su Junming waved, and all the golden books flew over. Open a volume at will, and inside it is the cultivation method of the true secret of controlling 10,000 beasts in the true tradition of the 12 sects of Chongyang Taoism, as well as the recorded methods of cultivating 19 kinds of spiritual beasts. Opening the next 11 volumes, they were the same as the 11 true teachings of Chongyang Taoism that he knew. After the appraisal, he ignored the interested Luo Yu who stretched his head to look here, turned his palms and put it into the storage gourd. The old man's face changed slightly, and a hint of anger flashed across his face. I gave you what you asked for, now it's time to believe what I said, right? Su Junming smiled lightly. I believe it. Please bring me the method on how to enter and exit the 3rd floor of Chongyang Cave. A smile appeared on the old man's face. With a wave of his hand, 2 jade talismans flew into their palms. As long as you take these 2 jade talismans, go to the divine gate and activate it with magic power, you will naturally be able to enter. Su Junming reached out and took it, holding it in his hand for a while. Since I have become the heir of Chongyang Dao, do I have the final say in everything in this Chongyang Cave? Of course. However, as the leader of Chongyang Dao, You also have the responsibility to carry forward this section. Su Junming smiled slightly. That's good. Seeing his smile, the old man's heart skipped a beat, and he instinctively felt that something was wrong. Before he could speak, Su Junming had activated his magic power and soared into the sky. Choke! The shocking sword cry sounded. The sword box behind him was dazzling, red, green, blue, and yellow, and 4 flying swords soared into the sky. The powerful sword light is like the rising sun, shining on the heaven and earth. The extremely sharp sword energy was like a storm, expanding crazily beyond its surroundings. Visible to the naked eye, the protective shield supported by the precious trees in the entire palace was shaking violently. What are you going to do? Stop it! The old man looked ugly. Su Junming looked calm and said, since everything here will be inherited by me, then the important place of our inheritance will be destroyed by those outside practitioners, so of course we must clean it up first. Boom! Along with a dazzling light, the palace treasure tree swayed instantly. The protective formation, which was powerful enough to withstand the late-stage Yuan Shen monks, was broken every inch. A protective formation is obviously easier to break from the inside than from the outside. Su Junming activated the rolling magic power of the puppet body, and the 8-foot mirror flew high into the sky and turned into a giant mirror of thousands of feet. The tyrannical mirror light was like a giant pillar, volleying in the sky. The 100-foot-tall palace treasure tree disappeared instantly. All that was left was a large pit hundreds of feet deep and nearly 1,000 feet wide. As a spiritual treasure of space, there is a space thousands of miles wide inside the 8-foot mirror. Although the palace treasure tree is large, it is not a problem to install thousands of them. Su Junming controls the puppet body, steps on the sword formation, and hangs a treasure mirror on his head, exuding domineering air. He looked at Luo Yu with sharp eyes. The latter's face changed, and his eyes flickered. After noticing the look in Su Junming's eyes, his expression changed instantly and changed into a cautious one with a flattering smile. Fellow Taoist, shall we go to the Chongyang Cave Heaven inner courtyard next? Go. Su Junming smiled lightly, trick me in and feed the bell. Bronze bell? Fellow Taoist, what do you mean by this? You forgot, the one who let us enter the 3rd level was the old man just now. Fellow Taoist Luo, your ability to sing the oboe is really impressive. If I hadn't had some tricks up my sleeve, I would have almost been deceived by you, Su Junming said with a half smile but not a smile. When Luo Yu appeared, Su Junming moved the bronze mirror and looked at him from the inside out. There was no essence of a living person in his body at all. Just like Guan Hongxiu now, he is also a puppet manipulated by others. It's just that I don't know what magic method was used. Without the bronze mirror, it was almost impossible to see that he was a puppet. He didn't kill him at first, but Su Junming wanted to see what conspiracy this man had behind the scenes. At the same time, I also want to put a long line to catch the big fish and lure out the person who has always been hiding in the dark, manipulating the old man in the library hall and raising the corpse heart demon earthworm in the Sheneng villa. After meeting the soul who claimed to be Chong Yuanzi, Su Junming used the bronze mirror to discover that the fluctuations in the souls between the two were actually the same. This is interesting. However, no matter what this person's intention is, he will not go in until he knows the details of the Chongyang upper court ceiling formation. So, I alerted the snake, hammered and drummed, and took the initiative to lift the lid to see what was hidden behind it. Even if you lose, you can still stay safe by hiding in Daihuang Mountain. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 371. Facing Su Junming's questioning, Luo Yu looked angry. Fellow Taoist, even if you don't want to hunt for treasure with Luo Mao, just leave. Why should you accuse me wrongly? Besides, the soul of that devil named Zhong Yuanzi is in your hands. Because of the previous movements, The monks who came to Chongyang Cave to search for treasures also noticed the majestic four-elephant sword formation and the radiant 8-foot mirror. Isn't that Guan Hongxiu, the divine sword king, one of the 9 kings of the Black Heart demon sect? Indeed, wasn't he killed by Chongshan master Su Junming? Why is he here now? Who was the person who confronted him? In the midst of everyone's discussion, Su Junming controlled Guan Hongxiu's puppet body, and a vast mirror light, like the Milky Way in the sky, rolled straight towards Luo Yu. It doesn't matter whether I admit it or not. I'll take you down first. Luo Yu's expression changed, he took a step forward, and his body disappeared instantly. Damn it, you bullied me too much. I will never forgive you. As Luo Yu waved his hands, the spiritual energy was so powerful that it seemed as if the spiritual energy in the entire Chongyang Cave heavenly courtyard began to agitate. Under the gathering of endless spiritual energy, a huge mountain pressed down on the puppet like Mount Tai. Seeing this, Su Junming's expression changed. The surge of mana directly activated the four-elephant sword formation. The 4 giant swords merged into one, and the mighty sword light rose into the sky. 4-elephant heaven-destroying sword. The solid sword energy, like a giant sword about to open up the world, ran straight towards the giant mountain. Boom! The dazzling light enveloped 3,000 miles. The astonishing shockwave spread around like lightning. In an instant, it seemed as if the entire Chongyang Cave heaven began to tremble. The rolling thunder is like the roar of God, which is endless. All the Yuanying monks who came here to explore for treasures, as well as a few Yuanshen monks, never expected to encounter such a fierce battle as soon as they entered. A monk wearing a purple robe and a long beard with 3 strands of hair on his chin waved his sleeves to disperse the flying shock wave. He looked at the sword formation in front of him with a murderous aura and the young monk opposite with earth-shattering magic power, with a solemn expression. Brother Jinyuan, who are these 2 people? How can they have such tyrannical cultivation? Lu Jinyuan looked at the 2 people facing each other. After staring for a moment, he shook his head. I do not know either. You don't know either? You are the Yuan Shen monk of Daong. Looking at his friend's suspicious eyes, Lu Jinyuan felt a little bitter in his heart. Although he was a monk from Daong, he really didn't know these 2 people. Just when the other party was about to continue asking, the spiritual energy in the cave became powerful again. Endless heat condensed on Luo Yu's head, and in the blink of an eye it turned into a giant fireball with a diameter of several thousand feet. From a distance, it looks like a sun falling into the world. Su Junming looked solemn. This fireball was even more powerful than the mountains in front of it. Take a deep breath. There is no longer any reservation, and the sword formation is pushed to the extreme. At the same time, the golden light of the 8-foot mirror is vast and ready to go. Luo Yu's strength is surprisingly strong, and he must use up every ounce of strength in his hands. Just when Luo Yu finished gathering his momentum and was about to hit the fireball, his expression suddenly changed. The figure disappeared instantly. Su Junming, who was controlling the puppet body, changed his expression. He was proficient in space Taoism, but he had not noticed the slightest space fluctuation just now. The out-of-control fireball turned into flames all over the sky, and for a moment, the entire sky seemed to be on fire. At this moment, Qin Mo and Master Shenying in the inner courtyard of Chongyang Cave had already controlled the colorful canopy to overwhelm the 5 spiritual treasures. After a big earthquake, the 5 spiritual treasures turned into 5 spiritual lights and flew into the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th layers of the colorful canopy in sequence. Except for the first level at the top, which is still empty, there is basically a treasure on every level. With the fusion of 5 treasures, the power of the colorful canopy increases steadily. The vast colorful aura is earth-shattering, and the powerful spiritual pressure makes the entire Chongyang Cave begin to shake. The power of this treasure shocked Su Junming, who was looking at it through the bronze mirror. This is no longer the power that Lingbao can have. Suddenly, as if he had transformed, Luo Yu's body appeared out of thin air. Looking at the colorful canopy with thousands of auras, I was shocked. Double Ninth Order. Chongyang Order? The legendary immortal weapon inherited from Chongyang Taoism. Su Junming was shocked when he heard it. Endless greed rose from Luo Yu's eyes, his fingers spread out, and he grabbed at the colorful flower cover like lightning. Return the Double Ninth Order. Qin Mo and Master Shenying looked nervous, and quickly activated their magic power. The colorful canopy, or the Double Ninth Order, flashed with colorful light, and with a dong sound, Luo Yu's body was instantly ejected. Luo Yu's expression became ferocious after being exposed to the puppet bodies manipulated by Su Junming one after another and suffering losses here. 2 juniors, with your cultivation, you can use the Double Ninth Order several times. If you are wise, please hand over the treasure obediently, and the ancestor will be merciful and spare you from death. Otherwise, the ancestor will make your souls fly away. The last word San, the sound was earth-shattering, and the tyrannical pressure made Qin Mo and Master Shenying instantly turn pale. They had taken forbidden drugs to increase their mana to the level equivalent to the 5th level of the Yuan Shen. They had just spent too much mana in order to conquer the branch spiritual treasures of the Chongyang Order. At this time, there is not much mana left in the Danshan. In front of Luo Yu, whose aura became more and more powerful, he felt like an ant. If it weren't for the extremely powerful Chongyang Order in his hand, he might have fallen down right now. Brother Qin, what should I do? This person is too strong. He is probably at the 9th level of Yuan Shen, or even higher. Qin Mo's eyes flashed, and his spiritual consciousness said, we still have 4 forbidden medicines, which are enough to use this Chongyang Order for a quarter of an hour. First try to see if we can block this person and collect the most important spiritual treasure of the Chongyang Order, the 5 weeks divine cauldron. Come back, this is something Lord Montenegro has emphasized. Master Condor nodded. That's all. Luo Yu changed his finger skills and pointed towards the Chongyang Order, but after the baby's spiritual light flashed several times, there was no response. Damn it! After trying for a while, there was no result. Luo Yu's face turned ugly, his fingers changed, and endless spiritual energy from heaven and earth rolled in. The surging fire, the mighty water, the huge mountains, the sharp golden energy, and the dense giant trees, each of them thousands of feet tall, with an astonishing momentum, went straight towards the Chongyang Order. There was a hint of panic in the expressions of Master Qin Mo and Master Shenying. Although they claimed to be able to compete with the Yuan Shen, they were monks of the 1st and 2nd levels of the Yuan Shen. If they faced high-level Yuan Shen, they would only be crushed. Fortunately, they still have the powerful Chongyang Order in their hands. The 2 of them gritted their teeth and poured in the mana as if they didn't want money. The Double Ninth Festival causes the colorful spiritual light to surge. In an instant, thousands of spiritual lights illuminate the sky, and thousands of rosy clouds cover the surrounding areas. The Double Ninth Order, which transformed into thousands of feet, met the metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and the 5 elements of Taoism. Light. A dazzling light drowned everything. The powerful impact caused the hundreds of miles of space to feel like a magnitude 12 earthquake, with landslides and earth-shattering earthquakes. The roaring sound was like the creation of the world. The entire Qingyu archway also shook. After everything calmed down a little, Su Junming saw through the bronze mirror that Luo Yu's expression was as usual and there was nothing serious. Thousands of feet away, Qin Mo and Master Shenying had weak breaths and bleeding from the corners of their mouths. They were obviously severely injured. The 2 looked at each other, each stretched out his hand, took out a scarlet pill that Su Junming had seen once before, and took it. The aura on his body increased visibly to the naked eye. Red blood magic pill? How come you have this pill? Luo Yu looked solemn, with surprise in his eyes. The second wave of attacks involuntarily slowed down. Brother Qin, opportunity. Master Shenying said in a message. Qin Mo nodded, I will stop this guy, you collect the 5 weeks divine cauldron. Do it. Qin Mo shouted loudly. The two of them poured all the new mana into it. The double ninth order erupted again, and powerful spiritual energy soared into the sky. Boom! The astonishing sound of the bell shook the heavens and the earth. The vast sound waves condensed into a line and crushed directly towards Luo Yu. The green pine, the golden sword, the Dharma flag, the water bowl, and the Dharma seal combined into a 5-color spiritual light, which went straight towards the huge cauldron on the bluestone platform, which was 100 feet tall. Luo Yu opened his 5 fingers, and the air of wind and thunder was generated. The powerful thunderstorm blocked the sound of the bell. Seeing the two people going to pinch the divine tripod, they did not stop them, but instead showed a sarcastic smile on their faces. Qin Mo saw this and his heart trembled. Brother Dao, take back the spiritual light quickly. Before he finished speaking, the 5-color spiritual light had already touched the 5 weeks divine cauldron. And the latter was indeed, as they had initially expected, picked up by the 5-color spiritual light and flew straight towards the Chongyang order. But just halfway through, the lid of the cauldron was lifted, and the dark demonic energy shot straight into the sky like an erupting volcano. In this rich demonic aura, a big hand covered with golden purple scales stretched out. The strong demonic energy followed this big hand and turned into a giant palm thousands of feet high, overwhelming the sky and hitting the Chongyang order directly. The incident happened suddenly, and the two of them were unprepared. The power of the double ninth order did not have time to activate. With a bang, the Chongyang order was knocked away hard. Along with the billowing demonic energy, a figure nearly 10 feet tall wearing a tattered Taoist robe, with the demon bone relic above his head emitting heavy demonic light, like a demon, flew out from the 5 weeks divine cauldron. Damn, what is that? Master Shenying felt the extremely oppressive aura on this person and was horrified. Looking over with scarlet eyes, Qin Mo and Master Shenying felt that all their secrets had been seen through by this demon-like person. Double ninth order. With a hoarse voice, the person waved his hand casually, and the 5 weeks divine cauldron that was originally parked in mid-air flew into the Chongyang order like lightning. Before Qin Mo and Master Shenying could react, it fell into the top layer. A perfect Taoist charm spread from the double ninth order. The powerful 7-color aura made the entire Chongyang inner courtyard, 100 miles away, seem to turn into a colorful world. In this spiritual light, there is an earth-shattering power. It seems that with just a slight touch, the world can be turned around and recreated. Immortal weapon. Su Junming saw it in his eyes and was shocked in his heart. No, it's not an immortal weapon. There must be innate Tai Chi in the immortal weapon. Although this Chongyang order is powerful, it does not exist. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 372. Qin Mo and Master Shenying were also shocked by the changes in the Chongyang order. After shock came ecstasy. With this more powerful treasure at their side, their chances of surviving the hands of the two powerful soul masters next to them were greatly increased. If they were lucky, they could fight back. The two input magic power, but instantly discovered that the Chongyang order, which was originally running smoothly, became sluggish. How so? The two of them were shocked. Suddenly, the Chongyang order began to tremble, and it was about to fly towards the tall figure with demonic energy rising into the sky. Not good. Qin and Mo quickly took the last scarlet pill and followed the formula to immobilize the double ninth order. The Chongyang order that was about to fly away quickly stopped, but the colorful spiritual light trembled endlessly and was no longer as stable as before. As a weapon refiner, Su Junming could tell at a glance. In addition to the colorful canopy as the foundation, the other giant bells, the 5-week divine tripod, and the other 5 spiritual treasures are all the treasures of the demonic golden corpse. When he was in the cauldron before, Qin Mo and Master Shenying were able to control the Chongyang order. But now that 7 spiritual treasures have been added, at least half of the power of the Chongyang order has fallen into the hands of this golden armored corpse. It is of course impossible to imagine using it as freely as before. Bring me, the Chongyang, Dao Genpai, Lingbao, and come back. The golden armored corpse's tone was hoarse, but it conveyed a powerful majesty. The Chongyang order slowly broke away from the heads of Qin Mo and Master Shenying, and slowly flew towards the golden armored corpse. Qin and Mo's eyes were red, their faces were ferocious, and they tried their best to capture the treasure. But the gap in strength made their efforts seem futile. Suddenly, a mighty wind and thunder arose. Luo Yu suddenly took action, and the overwhelming thunder and lightning rushed straight towards the golden armored corpse. The powerful lightning storm forced the golden armored corpse to stop. Rebellious person, you deserve to die. With a wave of his hand, the powerful demonic energy boiled like a tide and faced the flying thunder and lightning. Uncle Zhongyuan, aren't you obsessed with the devil like me? How can we distinguish each other? Luo Yu said coldly. The demonic energy of the golden armored corpse surged violently, and its anger rushed straight into the canopy. Don't call me uncle, you rebellious traitor. I made you the leader of the Chongyang Dao in vain despite all the opinions of the people. You actually willingly committed yourself and coveted magic, so that your sect was destroyed. You really deserve to die. Haha, am I willing to be humble? Don't forget, the person who destroyed more than 10,000 disciples of Chongyuan Dao is you, my good uncle. That's because I fell into your trap. Conspiracy? Humph, if you weren't arrogant and thought you could use your own magic power to resolve the demonic energy in this relic for your own use, how could you be possessed by the devil? After all, you are also greedy for life and afraid of death, and you are just like me. Just a wretch who longs to become an immortal. The golden armored corpse was painfully stabbed, and its corpse energy was like an erupting volcano, shaking the world. The white bone relic of the demon above the head is luminous and powerful. Those who deceive their masters and destroy their ancestors must die. Humph, you're not ashamed of your words. If it weren't for the formation and half of the double ninth order, you would have died in my hands. With a wave of Luo Yu's hand, the spiritual energy between heaven and earth was vast, surging thunder, and swaying storm, like 2 angry dragons thousands of feet high, tumbling over. With the 2 of them taking action, the golden armored corpse naturally had no time to fight for the double ninth order. The sudden disappearance of pressure caused Qin and Mo to fly backwards. With joy in their hearts, they had not yet waited for them to activate the magic formula and withdraw the double ninth order. An extremely powerful 9-color divine light passed by in a shocking way. The speed was too fast and extremely sudden. Qin Mo and Master Shenying barely reacted before they were swept away by the divine light, along with the double ninth order. At the same time, the Black Mountain Dharma realm is thousands of miles away. In the magnificent Black Temple, a monk in white robes and an 11 or 12-year-old boy opened their eyes at the same time. The 2 looked at each other, looked at the figure sitting cross-legged on the bone lotus with a powerful aura, and quickly knelt down on one knee. Lord Montenegro, we failed. Who killed you? A rich and calm voice sounded. It's Su Junming. Are you sure? My subordinates will never be mistaken. My disciple was killed by him with the 9-color divine light, the young man said quickly. Obviously, he is the clone of Master Condor. So the double ninth order also fell into his hands. Exactly. Where are the demon's bones and relics? The relic is in the hands of a golden armored corpse. Golden armored corpse. The white-robed young man nodded and said, this golden armored corpse has a very high cultivation level. It almost reaches the late stage of Yuan Shen, or even a higher cultivation level. If it were not for the interference of the former Chongyang Dao leader, he would almost have taken it away from him. By the way, Master Haishan, this golden armored corpse should be Chongyang Dao Elder Zhong Yuanzi. It seems that he has a big feud with the Chongyang Dao leader. The old demon from Montenegro nodded, and with a wave of his hand, 2 porcelain bottles fell into their hands. There are 12 Qian pills in each of these porcelain bottles. You can take them back and take them. During this time, you can recover your cultivation in the Black Mountain Dharma realm. Yes, thank you, sir. Go ahead. The 2 of them bowed their hands at the same time and respectfully retreated. Silence returned to the Black Temple. A double ninth order appeared in the palm of the old Black Mountain demon. After silently sensing for a moment, the long black flag behind him flashed with light, and a large black hole appeared in front of his eyes. The broken black flag flew in. At this moment, Su Junming, who was far away in the inner courtyard of Chongyang Cave, was facing off against Chong Yuanzi and Luo Yu, the former master of Chongyang Tao. Hand over the double ninth order. Chong Yuanzi looked ugly. The Chongyang order was originally an important treasure under his control. If the 7 treasures canopy as its foundation had not been lost in the war 1,000 years ago, and his strength was greatly damaged, he would not have been plotted by his nephew, the headmaster, and become a demon. As a result, more than 10,000 disciples of the entire Chongyang Dao were destroyed. Su Junming was extremely vigilant, but his expression was extremely calm. There is only one double ninth order, but both of you want it? Who should I give it to? Wise words. Zhong Yuanzi snorted coldly and glanced at Luo Yu next to him. Master nephew, the Chongyang order is the treasure of our Chongyang Daojhan section. No matter how much hatred you and I have, this treasure cannot fall into the hands of outsiders. Luo Yu nodded. What my uncle said is true. You and I will work together to kill this thief first, and then we will have a competition to decide who owns the Chongyang order. What the master's nephew said is exactly what I want. Su Junming's eyes twitched. The 2 of them looked like they wanted to kill each other just now, so why did they suddenly become unanimous? When Master Shenying and Qin Mo were here just now, they were not so united. With a rush of magic power, Daihuang Mountain flew out from behind his head. Just when the 3 of them were about to fight, a large black hole suddenly appeared in the air. One side was tattered and seemed to be broken at any time. A long black flag about 10 feet in size flew out from it. The aura on this long flag is extremely obscure, with a faint hint of strength. Zhong Yuanzi and Luo Yu, who were about to take action, saw the black flag, their expressions changed instantly, and they retreated thousands of feet before stopping, staring at the long black flag with an extremely alert expression. Su Junming also raised his cultivation level to the 5th level of Yuan Shen without any hesitation. Daihuang Mountain was suspended above his head, spreading the power of the cave in circles to protect his whole body. The phantom of a middle-aged man with a strange appearance, tall stature, and long hair shawl emerged from the black flag. After glancing at Su Junming, his eyes turned to Luo Yu, and finally settled on Chong Yuanzi. I never thought we could see each other again after thousands of years. Sure enough, it's you, old demon of Black Mountain, Zhong Yuanzi said solemnly. Old demon? Haha, you are more like a demon than me now. After a pause, back then, you took advantage of my serious injury and took away my demon bone relics. Now it's time to return them. This treasure has been practiced by me for thousands of years. It has become one with me a long time ago and has nothing to do with you. The words of plundering and plundering are so appropriate. You are indeed a member of my demon section anyway. Let me weigh you and see how much your abilities have improved over the years. He grabbed the black flag behind his back and shook it. The spiritual energy vibrated in an instant. The vast black demonic energy turned into a giant palm thousands of feet high and struck towards Yuanzi Zhong overwhelmingly. The tyrannical power makes people's faces change. Boom! The heaven and earth shook, and Zhong Yuanzi was like a ball that was instantly knocked away. Wow, a mouthful of blood flew out. With the physical strength of the golden armored corpse, he was actually beaten to the point of vomiting blood. The old demon from Haishan looked indifferent and waved the black flag again. A more vast demonic energy turned into a giant foot that was thousands of feet high, and stepped straight towards Zhou Yuanzi with a posture that could shake the mountains. The latter's face changed drastically, and the magic power in his body seemed to be free of charge. He input the demon's bone relic and shouted at Luo Yu at the same time. Master Nephew Luo, you were also the one who besieged the old demon of Black Mountain back then. If you let him kill me, you won't be able to feel better then. In Luo Yu's palm appeared a jade ruyi with a mighty aura, about 2 feet, and bright golden light. This ruyi shang's pure yang energy is extremely powerful, and you can tell it is a high-level spiritual treasure at a glance. With a wave of ruyi's palm, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth turned into billowing pure yang spiritual energy, and a handful of ruyi thousands of feet long merged with the giant black bead formed by the demon's bones and relics. The three parties collided together, like sparks hitting the earth. The powerful impact made the entire Chongyang inner courtyard shake. Click. After the sound of breaking jade, there was a bang and the entire Chongyang inner courtyard collapsed. Hundreds of miles of land turned into ruins, falling from the air with an astonishing momentum. The dirt and dust rose hundreds of feet into the sky, and the Chongyang upper courtyard, which was 3,000 miles away, shook for a long time before it stopped. All the monks who came here to explore the treasure were attracted by this amazing momentum. Seeing the old Black Mountain demon floating in the air freely venting his momentum, as well as Zhou Yuanzi and Luo Yu whose auras were earth-shattering, everyone was shocked. After this battle, give me the power of the Chongyang cave in your hand, otherwise you and I will both die in this battle. Even if we don't die this time and this demon is still there, we will inevitably die, Luo Yu said with a solemn expression. Okay, as you say. Zhou Yuanzi agreed without hesitation. He didn't want to give up the heavenly demon white bone relic that he had practiced for thousands of years, which meant that the first person the Black Mountain old demon wanted to get rid of must be him. To save one's life, it is acceptable to give up some. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 373. Chapter 366 Hunyuan Seal. Thinking of this, he turned to look at Su Junming in the distance. Boy, over there, the 2 people you killed were obviously subordinates of the old demon from Black Mountain. They took away the Chongyang order and offended the old demon a long time ago. If you don't want to be killed by him, don't even think about standing idly by. Hearing it, he glanced at him. This old guy is indeed worthy of having lived for 1,000 years and is very cunning. But he was right. He and the Black Mountain old demon had long been on the same side, and it was impossible to stay out of the matter. After this battle, the Chongyang order will be mine. Good. Zhou Yuanzi gritted his teeth and agreed. Let's get over the immediate difficulties first. Noticing his gaze, Luo Yu said calmly, it's not mine in the first place, and Chongyang Dao has been destroyed for 1,000 years, so I'll give it to you. Su Junming knew that this so-called promise was actually a verbal agreement with no binding force. If the threat of the old monster from Montenegro is eliminated, these 2 people will definitely fall out faster than turning over a book. But who is to say that his skills are inferior to others, and the power of the black flag displayed by the Black Mountain old demon is really too strong? On his own, he is not an opponent. You guys are really smart, but in the face of absolute strength, all conspiracies are useless. After saying this, the figure of the old Black Mountain demon was divided into 3 parts, and the black flag was also divided into 3 pieces. The 3 of them were shocked when they saw it, and Su Junming quickly moved the bronze mirror to take a look. The 3 of them were distracted, but the black flags were real. What kind of magical power is this? As soon as Su Junming's thoughts came to his mind, he could no longer continue to speculate. The black flag had turned into a shocking demonic energy, and it was like the wind of the Milky Way, and it was crushing towards him. Take a deep breath. 4 figures flew out of the sleeves. Guan Hongxiu was carrying the 4-elephant sword formation, and the sword formation was formed with a wave of his hand. The 4 elephants cutting heaven sword. The black flag behind Shang Situ is fierce. Netherworld bone formation. Accompanied by a huge roar, a white bone god and demon thousands of feet tall walked out of the black flags, swung his mountain-like giant fist, and struck directly at the demonic energy. The wind and thunder mirror above Lu Pan's head turned into a 1,000-foot giant mirror, and the vast wind and thunder energy turned into a giant pillar supporting the sky. Ao Xiu was in charge of the 8-foot mirror, and with a swipe of light, the incoming demonic energy was instantly reduced by a large amount. The 4 puppet bodies control the 4 spiritual treasures. In an instant, he collided with the thousands of meters of demonic energy set off by the black banner. The deafening explosion was earth-shattering. Within 100 miles around, it was like a hurricane passing through, and it was instantly in chaos. Chang Yuanzi and Luo Yu also fell into a battle instantly, especially Luo Yu. Although he understood that Su Junming was the one who took away the palace treasure tree, the enemy could not care about it now. The people around who came to Chongyang Cave to hunt for treasures were all dumbfounded. They never expected to encounter such an earth-shattering battle. Especially the man in black, who was evenly matched with 1 against 3, and even had the upper hand, which was simply shocking. 4-elephant Hunshin formation. Su Junming studied the 4-elephant formation method carefully. Of course, it is not only the 4-elephant sword formation, which is a killing formation, but also has various applications such as defensive formation and illusion formation. The 4-elephant Hunshin formation is the defensive array in the 4-elephant formation. He is the formation map, and the 4 puppets and the spiritual treasures they control are the key to the formation. The 4 corners stretched hundreds of miles, and the powerful formation, coupled with the tyranny of the 4 spiritual treasures, firmly blocked the Black Mountain Old Demon and his black flags. He became the one who seemed to be the most evenly matched among the 3. Humph, Junior, you are just a Yuanying realm monk who relied on secret methods to ascend to Yuan Shen. And you puppets are no more than Yuanying. Although you have spiritual treasures, I want to see how much mana you have to consume. After saying that, he flicked the black flag, and the vast demonic energy, like a 10,000-foot-long wave, rushed straight towards the formation. The 4 symbols Hunshin formation is extremely stable. No matter how much the demonic energy beats me, I remain firm and motionless. Su Junming glanced at the old Black Mountain Demon and his black flag. While he was distracted by manipulating the formation, the cave sky of Daihuang Mountain instantly turned into a gigantic peak of thousands of feet. Su Junming stood on the top of the peak, his fingers changing like the wind. He is well aware of his strengths and weaknesses. Just like what the old demon Haishan said, although his methods are strong and he has many spiritual treasures, his magic power is never as good as that of Chang Yuanzi and Luo Yu, let alone the old demon Haishan. Once the fight lasts too long, he will definitely lose. Although you can hide in the cave of Daihuang Mountain, if it is not a last resort, who wants to be a tortoise? As Su Junming pinched more and more, a bright yellow light became more and more intense. Immortal magic. The old demon of Haishan is a discerning person, and he soon felt a different flavor from Su Junming's lengthy seal formula. I have the intention to stop it, but this formation is too strong and will be difficult to break for a while. Suddenly, Su Junming stopped his hand, looked serious, and drank. Earth Emperor Dao Hunyuan seal. The bright yellow brilliance in the palm turned into a string of extremely complex runes and flew into Daihuang Mountain. In an instant, an extremely vast, extremely powerful, and extremely shocking attraction spread out from Daihuang Mountain. The Chongyang inner courtyard, which had been shattered by a few people's fighting before, the broken earth and rocks, and the cracked mountains flew straight towards Daihuang Mountain. 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet, 5,000 feet. Soon, Daihuang Mountain turned into 10,000 feet. The power of swallowing and sucking instantly became several times stronger. The more powerful swallowing power caused the 3,000 miles of rivers and mountains in Chongyang Upper Court to shatter one after another, and the earth and rocks turned into grey dragons and flew into Daihuang Mountain. 10,000 feet, 20,000 feet, 30,000 feet. In addition to the elevation, Daihuang Mountain's area has also become wider and wider. After Daihuang Mountain exceeded 30,000 feet, Su Junming took back the 4 puppet bodies. At this time, without them, the old Black Mountain demon would be unable to use his black flags to destroy the current Daihuang Mountain. If it cannot be destroyed, the swallowing of Daihuang Mountain will not stop. Su Junming sat cross-legged and meditated to maintain his magic power and urge the Hunyuan seal. The thicker and thicker mountains around him and the huge power of swallowing are his best protection. Back in Uncle Ju's world, he used this move to destroy Zhao Kuo's 450,000 Changping Zhao army. Now that this move is used for the second time, it will crush the entire Chongyang cave and suppress all dissatisfaction. It's a pity that his current magic power is far from the fairyland. It takes a long time to prepare to activate this Taoist method, and the flexibility is too poor. Otherwise, the power exerted will be even stronger. The old Black Mountain demon looked calm and activated the black flag, but the billowing demonic energy was like a mud cow entering the sea. It was quickly absorbed by the giant mountain, but could not be destroyed. I didn't expect this kid to have such an amazing secret technique. He won again in this confrontation. As soon as the thought came to an end, Luo Yu suddenly let go of his clone, and Yuruyi hit the giant mountain of 30,000 feet with shocking power. This strong pure yang energy knocked down the mountain with a bang. The rock shattered, but was quickly sucked back by the strong suction force. Nothing seems to have changed. Luo Yu looked ugly. Su Junming, stop it. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out. Under the mountains and rocks, he sat cross-legged on the top of the Daihuang Mountain cave, quickly refining the aura of the Daihuang Mountain, transforming his mana, and supporting the Hunyuan seal. He didn't bother to talk to Luo Yu at all. Now, as long as he maintains the Earth's magnetic force of Daihuang Mountain and continuously attracts various substances, the power of Daihuang Mountain will become stronger and stronger. Okay, since you are unkind, don't blame me for being unjust. His face turned blue with anger, his body instantly swelled, and the jade in his palm turned into hundreds of feet. The entire Chongyang cave was filled with wind and clouds, thunder and lightning, like a natural disaster. More and more spiritual energy flew into Yuruyi. Strips of golden and red spiritual light, like giant pythons, entwined around Yuruyi, soaring to the sky. Open it for me. The jade Ruyi Tianzi broke and fell down with a shocking bang. Boom. In an instant, it was like thunder shaking the world, and thousands of cannons firing. Large and small gravels, like meteorites falling from the sky, hit the already dilapidated Chongyang Road Shangyuan's 3,000 miles of land. But soon they were sucked away by the tyrannical force of swallowing. Luo Yu's face turned ugly when he looked at the hole he had made that was thousands of feet wide and hundreds of feet deep. Unable to stop the overwhelming power of swallowing, no matter how many mountains he smashed, it would be in vain. Uncle, give me your authority over Chongyang Cave. Luo Yu turned his head suddenly. His physical body had long been destroyed in the internecine war within Chongyang Dao 1,000 years ago. The remaining soul merges with the Chongyang Cave Heaven. The stronger the power of the Cave Heaven, the deeper his strength will be. On the contrary, if the Chongyang Cave is broken and destroyed, he will also die. Therefore, when he saw Su Junming tearing the entire Chongyang cave to pieces with one move of Yun Yuan's seal, he couldn't help but become furious. Damn it, help me kill this old devil first. Chong Yuanzi, who was being beaten to the left and right by 3 black flags, said angrily. If this drags on for another hour and a half, the entire Chongyang cave will be torn apart by that kid, and I will be the one who dies, Luo Yu said angrily. Boom, Chong Yuanzi was knocked thousands of feet away by the black banner, and fell to the ground like a cannonball, in great embarrassment. Seeing the overwhelming demonic energy spurting out again, his expression changed drastically, and he quickly escaped using the escape light. Zhou Yuanzi, who was being chased from heaven to earth, said angrily, "Do you think I have a chance to help you? If we don't destroy this old devil, we will all die." Feeling the increasingly weak power of heaven and earth in his body, Luo Yu's face turned livid, and he looked angrily at Chong Yuanzi, the mountain peak where Su Junming was, and the old demon from Black Mountain. "Since you want to kill me, then we will all die together." After saying that, the magic power was activated, and the entire Chongyang cave started to tremble. It seems to be going downhill. Chong Yuanzi's expression changed drastically. "Are you crazy? If we sink any further, the cave sky will be attracted by the Earth's magnetic force, and we will be trapped here forever. Ha ha ha, if you want me to die, I will pull you to die together, and I won't be lonely on the road to hell," Luo Yu said with a crazy expression. Chong Yuanzi looked ugly. The Chongyang cave is located above the eye of the Arctic Sea, and is shrouded in biting ice all year round. Unless you are a nascent soul cultivator, it is difficult to set foot in it. If the cave sky sinks, the suction force of the earth will become stronger and stronger, and the air of ice will become stronger and stronger. The entire Chongyang cave was sucked in, and then slowly sank into the eye of the sea, where it was frozen forever by the extremely cold water. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 374. Boom. Under the tyrannical swallowing power of Daihuang Mountain, the rivers and mountains 3,000 miles away in Chongyang Upper Court collapsed, and the bluestone archway carrying the cave sky was reduced to fragments. Everyone arrived at the lowest level, which was also the broadest level in Chongyang Cave. The situation was getting worse and worse. Seeing the heavy blows from Heiban, Zhou Yuanzi gritted his teeth. "Okay, I'll give you the authority." With a sudden slap on his chest, a jade talisman the size of a palm, but imprinted with countless inscriptions, flew out from his danshan. This jade talisman is entwined with the powerful power of the world. Chong Yuanzi waved his hand, and the jade talisman flew straight towards Luo Yu like lightning. The latter was overjoyed and flew to catch it. But a powerful mirror light flashed through the void, and the jade talisman disappeared instantly. Luo Yu was instantly furious. "Return the Chongyang jade talisman." The spiritual energy gathered together and turned into a giant palm holding up the sky, grabbing directly towards Guan Hongxiu, who had an 8-foot mirror above his head. 4 Elephant Heaven Destroying Sword. Manipulate the puppet body and activate the sword array. The powerful sword energy is like the rising sun, gorgeous and dazzling. The sword light flashed past, and the giant palm holding the sky was cut in half in an instant. Luo Yu's expression changed and he ran away quickly, but the sword light was too fast, and one of his arms and half of his body were cut off. Ah! Along with the shrill scream, Luo Yu disappeared. By now, nearly half of Chongyang Cave has been destroyed. He only controls half of the power of Chongyang Cave Heaven, and his strength has also declined by nearly half, and he has long lost his previous tyranny. As for the 4 Elephant Heaven Destroying Sword, as the strongest sword in the 4 Elephant Sword formation, it can even rival the late-stage Yuan Shen. Of course I can kill this beast in one piece. However, Luo Yu's Yuan Shen is fused with Chongyang Cave Heaven. If Chongyang Cave Heaven is immortal, he will not die. Even if his Yuan Shen is severely damaged, he can still recover with the help of the power of heaven and earth in Chongyang Cave Heaven. He activated the 8-foot mirror, and a mighty light flashed across it, taking back the Jade Ruyi Lingbao. Su Junming used the puppet body to activate the mirror light and took away all the nascent soul monks in the cave. If there is any resentment in the body, he will be killed on the spot. If not, temporarily seal them in the 8-foot mirror. Su Junming, the old devil Haishan, and the old thief Zhong Yuan, I want you to be buried with me. Luo Yu's crazy voice sounded in the remaining cave, and the falling speed of Chongyang Cave suddenly accelerated. Boom! Chong Yuanzi was once again beaten away by the black banner of the Black Mountain Demon. Wow, a mouthful of blood spurted out. At this moment, he was covered in bruises and his left arm was broken. If the body of the golden armored corpse hadn't been strong, he might have been killed here by the black flag of the Black Mountain Old Demon. Hand over the demon's bones and relics, and I will spare your life. The old demon from Montenegro held a black flag and walked over in a leisurely manner. Hey, old demon of Black Mountain. It's you who caused me to fall into the state of Chongyang Dao. I'll give you the bone relics of the demon. Zhong Yuanzi threw it forward with all his strength, and the demon's white bone relic flew straight towards the giant mountain that had expanded to 40,000 feet like lightning. At the same time, Chong Yuanzi flew straight in the opposite direction like lightning. The already extremely powerful gravity, coupled with Chong Yuanzi's huge force, caused the demon's white bone relic to fall into the interior of the giant mountain with a flash of light. The face of the old demon from Haishan changed slightly, and he ignored Zhong Yuanzi, who took the opportunity to escape. With a wave of the black flag, the tyrannical demonic energy turned into a giant hand thousands of feet tall, and with a bang, it grabbed straight towards the giant mountain. Earth and rocks cracked and rocks shattered. But there was no trace of the demon's bone relics among them. Su Junming, please return my king's relics. Su Junming, who was sitting cross-legged at the top of the cave in Daihuang Mountain, turned his palm and used a dreamy yellow beam to suppress the demon's bones and relics. He activated the bronze mirror and looked at the earth-shattering Black Mountain Old Demon outside. He changed his finger formulas and formed hundreds of seal formulas. The bright yellow brilliance in his hands bloomed like the rising sun. The Earth Emperor Dao God and Demon Seal. With a buzz sound, a huge repulsive force rushed straight towards the Black Mountain Old Demon. The latter's expression changed drastically and he quickly waved the black flag in his hand. The surging demonic energy flew thousands of feet, like a huge wave that covered the sky and the earth. But this invincible and tyrannical demonic energy seemed to be ruthlessly crushed by a more powerful force. The old Black Mountain Demon only felt that he was hit by a mountain tens of thousands of feet high, and his whole body flew thousands of miles, directly hitting the hole in the broken Chongyang Cave. The cold sea water fell tens of thousands of feet, making a sound like thunder and causing water splashes all over the sky. Su Junming, do you really want to go against me? A loud sound came from the crack. The words were full of anger and a touch of scruples. Roll. The simple and crude words made the old demon from Montenegro even angrier. But thinking of the tyrannical repulsion just now made him worried. Being cautious by nature, he suppressed the anger in his heart. Okay, I will take note of this revenge. When I am born, the first thing I will do is to restrain your soul and refine your soul. There was silence for a while in Daihuang Mountain. The old Black Mountain Demon gritted his teeth and waved the black flag in his hand. A ray of light shot into the sky and quickly disappeared. A great war ended here. But Su Junming didn't dare to really relax yet. He could feel that Luo Yu's remnant god was still hidden in the broken Chongyang Cave. After flying back to the cave of Daihuang Mountain, he transported the spiritual energy and restored his mana. Point your finger. Innate Bagua Array. 8 spiritual talismans soared into the sky, and a powerful formation covering hundreds of miles rose above Daihuang Mountain. Reach out and make a move. The clouds in the sky above the Daihuang Mountain cave were vast, and a cave opening that was more than 10 miles in size opened. Countless earth and rocks, spiritual energy, demonic energy, and all kinds of complexity are rolling in. The formation was running, and these things were quickly refined into various spiritual energies such as yin and yang, wind and thunder, gold, wood, water, fire, earth, etc., to replenish the cave and sky of the Earth Emperor Mountain. Su Junming waved his hand casually, and a dream of yellow rice turned into 365 grains of yellow rice, absorbing and refining the power of the 7 emotions and 6 desires stripped out after the large array refined the demonic energy. This training lasts for 10 years. 10 years later, the cave world in Daihuang Mountain has changed drastically. The size of the cave sky has grown from the initial 6,000 miles to 23,000 miles. However, the Taishi Peak, the 4 Symbols Peaks, and the Bagua Peaks, which were once so tall, have not grown any further. It is still the highest peak at Taishi Peak, at 15,000 feet. Qinglong, Suzaku, White Tiger, Suanwu followed, 13,000 feet. Qianyang, Kunyin, Zhenlei, Sunfen, Kenshui, Liwo, Zhentu, and Duimu are followed by 9,000 feet. 12 Yuanchen Peak is still 6,000 feet tall. Although there are still rivers and valleys in the outer areas, the highest peak is only 1,000 feet high, so there is nothing unusual about it. 30,000 feet in the sky, there is a hidden space. There is nothing else in this space, only a giant tree as big as a mountain, growing surrounded by colorful clouds. It is the palace treasure tree that Su Junming harvested from the Chongyang cave. The 3 bottom leaves of the treasure tree and the 2 middle leaves have all been cleaned by Su Junming. After studying the classics on Chongyang Taoism, he placed the excess in the library of Chongshan Academy. He made a copy of the remaining books that interested him and put them in his library. In the cleared space, elixirs, spiritual roots, and spiritual fruits were planted. He transplanted all the elixirs and spiritual roots from the 4 Symbols Peaks that were above the Great Cave. The 2 leaves on the 2nd floor are freed up in Shenan Courtyard, and several disciples can live there in the future. In the nearby Spiritual Beast Courtyard, only phoenix eggs and jade sword butterflies have been settled for the time being. The topmost leaves are his mountain residence. On the surface, it looks like a 2-story bamboo building with a front and backyard, surrounded by bamboo trees. In fact, if the internal space were fully expanded, it would be hundreds of thousands of square meters. Su Junming sat cross-legged in the backyard. A foot away from his chest, a ball of black air the size of a football hovered, vaguely revealing Luo Yu's face. This is the soul of Luo Yu that he separated from after refining the Chongyang Cave Heaven Queen. With a wave of his hand, a dreamy yellow beam flew out and swallowed up the incomplete spirit. Scenes reappeared in front of him. Although many places were incomplete due to the incompleteness of the soul, he finally figured out the secrets of the fall of the immortal land more than 1,000 years ago and the destruction of Chongyang Dao. A trace of solemnity appeared on his face. In the picture, the old demon of Haishan had his head broken, his heart disappeared, and his body was broken, but he could still suppress and beat dozens of Yuanshen monks with a tattered black flag. It was really shocking. If it hadn't been for the last sword light falling from the sky and cutting off his head, all the Yuanshen monks in Daong would have perished under the black flag. Where did the old black mountain demon come from? And that sword light? Although Su Junming was confused, he couldn't help but yearn for it. As his cultivation level gets higher and higher, more and more immortal traces appear in front of him, guiding him to continue to become stronger. After reading Luo Yu's memory, he waved his hand. This soul went straight into the netherworld and fell into the Yellow River. A strong soul at the level of a primordial spirit is undoubtedly a great tonic for the netherworld of the Earth Emperor Mountain Cave Heaven. Devouring him, the Huangquan River quickly expanded for hundreds of miles, and Luo Yu's soul became one of the many evil souls in the Huangquan River. After picking up a dream of yellow rice, 365 grains of yellow rice seemed like a brilliant star cluster, floating and sinking in the palm of my hand. Devouring the power of 7 emotions and 6 desires in all the demonic energy in the Chongyang cave, all the yellow rice in Yimen Huangliang has given birth to 12 levels of treasures. It only needs to survive the heavenly tribulation to become a spiritual treasure. Something moved in my heart. A 7-story canopy flew out. Each layer of the canopy is made of colorful clouds, and each layer has a treasure. From top to bottom are the cauldron, bronze bell, green pine, sword, spiritual flag, water bowl, and seal. Among the 7 treasures, the cauldron is the strongest, with 11 levels of spiritual ban. The bronze bell is followed by 10 levels of spiritual restraint. The green pine, the sword, the spiritual flag, the water bowl and the seal are similar, and they are all 9 levels of spiritual prohibition. Under the link of the colorful canopy, these 7 treasures are not fairy weapons, but they can exert a power infinitely close to that of fairy weapons. The colorful canopy is a formation pattern. The formation engraved in the formation diagram is called the 7 stars unifying the moon formation. The secret of this formation is that it can coordinate 7 spiritual treasures to burst out collective power. It can also use a single spiritual treasure to fight against the enemy. And whether it is a group or a single Lingbao, the power of the Lingbao can be maximized. What's even better is that these 7 treasures are not fixed. If there is a stronger spiritual treasure, any one of them can be replaced at any time. Then the power of the double 9th order will be stronger.